Hey there, we just wanted to let you know that there may be some content in here with some colorful language or off-color topics, and we wanted to let you know ahead of time, so please listen at your own discretion.
Fucked him over, Stace. You should be sorry.
Dude, if she dies like tomorrow, my life is ruined. You realize that, right? Because she has like fucking tens of thousands, like $20,000, $30,000 in debt that I'm just stuck with now. And I can't pay any of this. My life's over. I lose the house.
I lose the,
It'd be
the
nuts.
farm.
It'd be bad. It'd be bad.
I'll take a.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And that's like...
That's good whiskey.
Is it?
I'll make sure I backwash
That's a fucking $55 bottle.
Holy shit.
Nice.
I might not even want to drink this because I don't know if I'll appreciate it.
You will.
I bet he
Just
doesn't.
don't take a big swig. Just take a sip.
He's not gonna. He's gonna be a pussy.
Swish it around.
God, you're gonna hear so much of us going into the mic.
I don't think that's a problem. All right.
Well, watch. We're gonna hit record, and we're all just gonna go.
Bullshit, we are, brother.
That's funny. We're already recording.
You know I'm sitting here right now, right?
You got your credit score, your social security number.
Oh, perfect.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, dude. Well, hey, my name is David Michael Reed. I'm a Cancer, and my social security
cancer,
number
Dave?
is whatever.
Why didn't you tell us?
I was born in July.
I was born with no arms or legs.
Yeah, these are cybernetic.
No, so the weird thing is, I found out my net value is actually zero.
What is that?
Fuck yeah.
How does that work?
That means I have $50,000 in debt and $50,000 in assets, which means my overall net value, I'm a zero. It's almost like I don't exist financially.
Yeah.
It's just my net value is totally zero.
At least it's not negative, bro. Because that could be a lot worse.
You could do the student loan thing like I did.
I'm not in the red.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm teetering on the edge of very easily being in the red, though.
So am I, bro. Just so you guys are aware, when we sit
we're
down
already
and
on.
talk together to do these things, we we have some beverages. We're men, we're adults. And so the language gets interesting. So just be ready. Maybe don't let your kids listen to it. We probably won't say too much crazy stuff.
That should be its
but
own
we probably
rating.
will.
This should be IL rated for interesting language. Can we create a new rating for language?
The first thing I want to talk about
Let's do it.
is the name of this thing, because we might have a name by the time this comes out.
Maybe, but...
So Pat's suggestion was...
It's going to be bad.
Oh, by the way, I'm AJ.
I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And that's all you're ever going to get.
We all play instruments in
It's
the bands.
probably always going to be
They're not
us.
going to know which one is which, except for you.
You're going to know which one's me.
We're officially
instrumentalists.
instrumentalists in Anabasis.
Instrumentist.
Anabasis, thank you.
Very nice.
No, not
So the
at all.
first-
Not even close, no.
Anabasis.
I'm the Anabasist.
Oh, you had to fucking do it. You had to do it.
Ooh.
So the first thing is the name. So Pat decided that he wants to be professional. Like, he wants this to be like a thing that he can be proud of and show his mom. And
He
his
won't be.
grandmother.
Not at
Until
all.
we have any dialogue. Like, the second we start talking, he's going to be so disappointed.
So he said a Nabacast.
I have no problem with that.
I also have no problem with it, but it's so vanilla.
It is very vanilla.
It's very much like
I
Pat.
think there's a lot of words that rhyme with pod that we could utilize. I've already expressed
like
it.
Rod.
Like Rod. Yeah, we could do the Anabasis Rodcast.
The Rod.
But it's all about Rod Serling, and we only discuss our favorite Twilight Zone episodes.
I'm okay with that.
Well, I thought it was just sarcastic because we all have tiny dicks. Or like the Tripodcast.
Tripod.
Those are the only two good ones.
The Try Hard
I actually-
podcast.
I actually did a rhyme search for words that rhyme with pod, and those were the only two that were actually
That's
any
it?
good.
That's all
yeah.
you got?
Yeah, there's God. But
The Godcast.
Yeah, as if we
Yeah,
don't have...
we'll get away with that.
No egos. No egos. No egos.
No egos.
So I was walking out of Walmart today, and this lady approached me, and she's like, "Hey, so what we do is we we take up pregnant women from the streets, and we're taking donations and we're selling merchandise to try to support these homeless pregnant women. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can kind of get on board with that. So I walk up to the table, and it was just all Jesus stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm pushing any sort of religion on the band or whatever, but that just ain't me. I couldn't get on board with that stuff.
So you swung at her?
All right, wait. Here it is. Oh no, we're not professional, Stace. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't go with good
All right, so
ideas. Only bad.
Jess just sent me a text. It says, I ate one of those cheese and Slim Jim combo packs, a quarter bag of Flaming Hot Doritos, and a 16-ounce Red Bull on the drive home.
Why would you do it?
Because she was in New
What
Jersey,
the
so she drove like an hour and a half. And
Jess
she just
is like,
said,
I want to be a human RPG.
So she's-
Yeah, exactly.
So she said I had all of that stuff, and she says, and I just farted and almost threw up.
Dude, I felt so fucking bad when we pulled into my driveway, and so my kid is screaming, which is not new, but I looked back, and it was like Exorcist-style projectile vomit all over.
Just the pea soup.
So bad to the point where I got him out of his fucking car seat and stood him in the driveway, and he's still just screaming there crying. So I had to just bite the bullet and pick him up. So I also got covered in his fucking puke.
Just covered in puke.
And I bring him inside, and the first thing Shelby says is, yeah, I dumped the car seat in the driveway because it's still covered in puke. So, like, anyone wondering what parenthood is like, it's literally just puke covered everything. That's all it is. That's
No
all.
shit, just puke.
All the good
Dude.
stuff everyone talks about is bullshit. It's just puke covered everything.
And growing up as a kid, like, who doesn't remember, like, laying on the couch watching Scooby-Doo with, like, a pan next to you or a pot, like a pot or a mixing
Okay.
bowl.
All right.
Because your parents are like, you're not puking on my fucking floor. So here's a fucking pot with a handle, and you're going to puke in that.
Okay, so
You're
this
gonna
is
drink Gatorade.
non sequitur, but related.
We
Okay.
did give him a Gatorade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Some
What
things
flavor?
never change.
Cool blue only.
Thank
Blue.
you.
Yeah.
And he's
Thank
going to
you.
grow up to hate it. He's
What-
going to
no,
see
no,
the
no.
color and get nauseous.
So, like, what
I
kind
already do.
of what
Yeah,
kind
so
of
do-
heathen
so do I.
actually enjoys the fruit punch?
No.
It's fucking gross.
Relax.
Only when I'm severely hungover.
The only
Like, if it's the only one left, like, I'd still probably
That's what
rather
it
drink
is,
my own
yeah.
vomit
the
first. but,
only
like,
glacial
You wouldn't drink my
freeze is
kids'
good.
Vomit.
anything that's
The
blue.
light blue.
When you say what flavor Gatorade is it, and you say blue, that's
And any blue that gets brought out, you're gonna accept.
Dude, Pedialyte.
Pedialyte's the shit. That's
That
what
is
you do.
the
yep.
shit. They make like grown-up Pedialyte now because they know that people don't take care of
Yeah.
themselves.
Well,
They
dude,
need to
they've
be
been-
fucking
they've been-
hydrated after.
It's pretty much what Pocari Sweat is in Japan. I mean, Pocari Sweat's closer to like a Gatorade.
You just
but
had
it's
to,
basically
just
that.
the moment came up and you go, I have to plug the weird Japanese shit I drink.
Dude, I love that stuff. That's the best shit ever. I love Pocari Sweat. I wish they sold it like everywhere in America.
So I got this shit. They caught me on an Instagram ad. I thought I was immune to that shit, but it caught me.
Hell no.
It's called Cheers, and it's like this vitamin supplement that basically, after you drink booze, well, they have this whole line. So they have this
I
line
can
where,
already tell this is good.
yeah, well, I haven't even tried it yet. It might be good. I don't know.
It might be a
I'll
scam,
update.
yeah.
I'll update next time.
Continue. Yep.
But it's this whole line where, in the cycle of a adult human being who drinks alcoholic beverages, different supplements you can take in that cycle to make your life fucking easier and make sure that your liver doesn't just explode.
just give up.
So there's like certain pills that you get that you take after you're done drinking for the night, before you go to bed, and then there's certain ones you take in the morning, and then there's certain ones you take before you drink.
Mm-hmm.
So they had this like free trial. They did the wicked typical thing, and I'm kind of upset that they got me with this because it seemed really legit. But they did a typical thing
It is a
where
scam.
I know where they're like, yeah, so free trial, but then we subscribe you, but unsubscribing super easy. Well, the
No,
last
it's
part,
fucking not, though.
Wicked,
You have to-
not fucking.
you have to
I'm
actually, like-
probably yelling in the microphone.
No,
right
it's
now.
No,
fine.
perfect. Please yell into it.
Because I did the normal
getting
consumer
worked
thing
up.
where I'm like, okay, I'll sign up for that, and then 30 seconds later, I'm going to go and cancel my subscription. So then I'll
Correct,
just
that's
choose if I
correct.
want to do it. I'm still subscribed to that, and I don't know, I don't know where to go to cancel it.
You-
But
you gotta,
I
like-
got the pills. I haven't
That's
tried
so
them
funny.
yet.
Do you think it's like charcoal or something?
No,
No.
No, it's not that like weird kind of hippie shit. It's like
It's just charcoal.
No, that's a thing though. Like it's like a clean charcoal thing. Like if you have like
activated charcoal.
yeah, it's basically like Pepto is kind of like charcoal. Like in
Oh,
liquid form.
yeah, kind of. Yeah.
No, that's true. No, this stuff is they actually, if you look at the website, it actually they had me sold. It might be bullshit, but the way they worded it was the nutrients that get taken from your liver when you drink get replenished by this supplement, depending on when you take it. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Let us know because you drink.
Whether it works or not, I'm paying them like fucking $50 a month. So
Jesus.
You should-
fucking
you should-
no, I think it was $30.
You should go full
but,
Karen and email their manager.
But this was made for
That's how you do
alcoholics
it.
because it's like, yeah, we'll give you a 1 month supply, and you take 4 every time you drink. So here's 50 of these pills.
Perfect.
They just expect you to be the
what is that
type
like?
of person.
What is that like?
that's
12 and a half days. So you just have 4-day weekends all month.
Yeah, they're like, you're definitely the kind of guy that goes to work hungover every fucking day. So
Yeah.
you're gonna need this medicine.
God,
that
I
might
hope
not
so.
actually be
awesome.
medicine.
That's
I
so
don't know.
fucking funny.
It's called Cheers. I haven't tried it yet. This is not an endorsement. I might
Yeah,
endorse it
fuck
after I
no.
try it. I might
Okay.
if they pay us.
So I
You
gotta go
also
back.
might shit on it on the podcast.
I might shit out it for the first time I try it.
On
I
the
don't know.
couch.
Yeah.
All right, I got to go back to the sitting on a couch with a pan, sick kind
Please
of thing.
do, yeah.
So I have
That's all
this is the most
childhood.
vile story.
I have a very good one for you too after this that is pertaining to childhood sickness. Continue.
Okay.
Dave's chomping at the bit, so you better.
Well,
get
this
through
was like
Go
this
for
was
it.
like high school age, right? And it's not sickness, but it's way more disgusting. So anybody who knows me, I mean, this is a podcast, so you don't see me yet, but I am the palest thing on the earth. Get that away from me. And I instantly burn in the sun, just instantaneous burn. So I was out in the sun for maybe 2 hours at a beach one time, and my whole back just scorched, right? It's like you get like the 2nd-degree burn sort of thing, just scorched. And I laid in a sleeping bag.
He looked the same after it happened.
Yeah, I do get pretty red. I laid in a sleeping bag, but inside the sleeping bag, I slathered it with like aloe, like aloe vera.
Wait, this is a real story. So
this is serious.
So you lubed up your giant fleshlight that you're calling a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
And you slid into it like a giant
just in
ginger penis.
a pair of underwear, and just baked.
What the fuck?
And then
This is some American Horror
and I
Story
passed
shit.
I passed out because it's not like when you get sunburnt you get so tired, like you get all that like sick kind of that sun sickness sort of thing.
Oh yeah. We all
So
know
I
that
passed
feeling.
out for like a day and a half. Woke up just like dehydrated,
Jesus
and I got out of the
Christ.
sleeping bag.
No, you woke up like fucking Frank Reynolds in that scene where he crawls out of the couch and he's covered in sweat. That's how you woke up.
I got out of the sleeping bag and I turned around to look, and there was just like a whole snake skin of my back
And so when you got
stuck
out,
to the inside of the sleeping bag.
No.
he looked
because
like
it
Jim
just
Carrey
peeled
in Ace
straight
Ventura
off.
when nature calls and he gets out of the rhino and he stands up.
So yeah, my whole back peeled right off. It was-
So you
What the
you
fuck?
literally
Vile.
peeled out of your skin like a snake or a silverfish or some shit.
That's
except
a
it's
fucking
way worse
nightmare.
because the radiation sickness.
Yeah, like those are like
Yeah.
the weird videos you see where it's like time lapsed and it grosses everybody out. That was you crawling out of your
Yeah.
fucking.
just like birthed like I imagine Dylan is every night. He's just like
Every time Dylan goes to sleep, he enters a cocoon.
Yeah.
it's just full of like
What the
it's full of like prime cut steaks and whiskey and just dinosaur noises.
Yeah. Well, that's when he wakes up. He makes the dinosaur noise. I'm not even gonna try to do it.
I wonder what he sounds like during sex.
makes a
he's a
dinosaur
virgin,
noise.
so nobody knows.
You think he's a virgin?
Well, probably, yeah. I think all the shit he says is made up.
I imagine that because he's bald, he just lubes his head up and just tries to jump up a lady.
fuck? That's so funny, dude. Poor Dilly. We love him.
No, he's like every time he gets with a girl, he's like they think they're gonna hook up, and then he goes, "Yo, let me tell you about saturated fat because that shit is tight."
And then he looks in your freezer, and if he finds one hot dog, so help me.
No, you are fucked. Not literally.
Everything we're saying is so exaggerated of the reality of the situation.
I mean, that's what gets
is it?
the listeners.
I didn't realize that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna have to compress and limit the shit out of this thing. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. So when we were growing up, my cousin Matthew Sawyer, stayed with us a lot. Like every fucking weekend, he would come over and spend the night all weekend, and we would just play video games and bro out. He was like our best friend when we were little kids. The whole time we were growing up. Thing is, every single night that he stayed in our house, he hose puked bad. And we don't know why. He had a stomach virus for like the first 18 years of his life. Dude, every single time.
Yeah, it's a 24 virus. Oh, 24 hour? No, 24 year, dude.
Every night, every single night, that kid would fucking repaint our bathroom so bad.
Just repaint them.
It was crazy, man. He would like talk in his sleep, and he'd be gagging and shit in his sleep, and we're like, Matt, go puke.
That's so vile.
It was fucking crazy.
I just imagine though, like you just said repaint. So I just imagine the kid's like sleepwalking, and he goes into your bathroom, and he just takes out a roll of blue painter's tape, and he just masks off the ceiling and like all the outlets, and then he's like, yes, this looks good.
You want to hear the reality of that?
No.
When he actually repainted
I
the
want
bathroom?
to. I want to.
Okay, so this is a wicked good story.
I
So
still smell like puke from my son.
it was somebody's birthday. It was probably me and Jake. So me and Jake are like 11 days apart birthday-wise. He was born August 2nd. I was born July 20th. So it's not 11. It's like 13 or
Yeah, no
whatever.
days
But
birthday,
either
man.
way. So we would always celebrate our birthdays together, like a day in between our two birthdays because they're so close. So we used to have this place around here called Funscape. That was like an indoor amusement park.
It was Discovery Zone, DZ Discovery Zone.
I don't care. It was called Funscape when we were kids.
Okay.
But either way, there was like an indoor miniature golf, and there was like all this other shit, arcade stuff. We would go there for whatever reason. Because there was like not much to do. So
Not
we
to
would
have
just be
fun,
playing.
just whatever reason.
Whatever reason.
Because there was
dude.
nowhere else better to go.
There's
We would
nothing. There's nothing. We're going to go to Great Northern Mall, go to like FYE to look at albums we're not going to buy, and then go, well, this place is dying, and then leave.
Well, you don't want Matchbox 20's latest single?
No. So
I actually
You don't
bought
need
that. I
6
bought
copies
that.
of the Black Album by Metallica but all the cases are cracked in
Yeah,
the same spot.
yeah.
Oh, I got a funny story about. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. Anywho, so we went to Funscape, and they had a roller coaster simulator there. And my brother's like childhood best friend was this dude named Sam Thomas, great guy, but he was out for our birthday or whatever. So Sam was with us, and my cousin Matt was with us, and then I had Odie with us as well, my buddy Odie.
Yeah.
And Matt wanted to ride the like simulated roller coaster wicked bad. So Sam was like, well, I'll ride it with you under one condition. You understand clearly that if you hit the like eject button because you feel like you're going to get sick, you just are going to get sick instead. That button's not getting hit.
He's like praying for vomit.
So Matt's just like, of course, no problem, man. He's a kid, man. He just wants to be cool. So they go in there, and like 2 seconds in, Matt's like, are you good? Like screaming, I'm puking, and slams the button. Doesn't puke. Slams the button, and Sam's like, what the fuck? Wicked best, right? So that night, we're all sleeping in the same room. We all slept in my brother's bedroom. We just camped out in like blankets and shit, right? And in the middle of the night, we're all hanging out. Just like talking, geeking out. It's like 2 a.m, you know? And we hear Matt start being like, and we're like, what? So we're like, Matt, what are you doing? And he yelled some shit. He was like sleeping. He starts yelling some shit. He gets up and he runs to the bathroom. So my brother and Sam chase his ass. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So they run over there and they watch him stand in the bathroom, and he just has like a blank look on his face, and he just like looks at our shower opens his mouth and just hoses puke at the wall, just splashes puke over the wall. Then he like turns and looks at another wall in the bathroom, just a random wall. Opens his mouth, just hose puke, and just repaints every wall, just
like
whole
what,
bathroom, just
90 degrees,
puke, yep, crazy. I look in there, the whole bathroom's just covered.
Dude,
in
he was
puke
like a
from
puke
ceiling to
turret.
floor.
He
It
was a
crazy.
turret of
Yep.
puke.
He was a puke turret. My mom wakes up and she's like, "You gotta be kidding me!" So she fucking stayed up and cleaned all that.
No.
Your mom must
Yeah.
have been a fucking saint.
She was, dude.
I
We
wish
were-
I could-
We
I-
were garbage.
It's not like she's
humans,
dead
and
or
she just
anything. I just
dealt
want to
with
meet
it.
your mom. I want
My
to.
mom's great.
It did sound
man.
like when I said that she was dead.
just
but
wanna
she's very
see-
much
No,
My
alive.
mom's very much alive.
I just want to see
She's
where
doing good.
this came from. Like,
Oh,
I just
no. I came from my brother.
Oh
That's the
no.
truth. Like, no, my
I'd
brother's
like
not
to
my
know.
father.
I would like to know the
It's
genetics
not
about
that.
that.
Okay, so now I got to jump back in. Anabacast was pitched. Anabasis Podcast, the Rodcast, the Dennis Rodman,
Tripod
Kim
cast.
Jong Il podcast.
I think we can do better, man. I just want a little bit of time to think about it.
No, I'm not saying we got to make a decision, but I got to explain. The one I pushed really hard for was the Frig cast,
That's correct.
and that's because Dave has his own language that he
No, I
speaks.
don't.
No,
You
that's specifically
wicked
due to
dope.
Trailer Park Boys, right?
No. Frig? I mean,
you and
Frig
Jake,
is,
right?
is very prevalent in Trailer Park Boys, yeah. But Frig is something we always just said, and that's one of the reasons. It's one of the, 9 billion reasons why Trailer Park Boys just smoked me when I watched it. Because, everything they do, everything
is.
they say, it's all stuff that pertains to my entire life growing up. Not because we were petty criminals, but, growing
I
up
mean,
in
you were.
Oswego, you saw
you
it.
were, but that's not why.
Yeah. No, growing up in Oswego, you see people everywhere that you're like, oh, that's fucking, what's his face? The vet there. I can't think of his name.
Clarence.
No. The fucking, not Mustard Tiger. The fucking vet they get that loses his practice. He can't.
it
he
was
loses his license.
Tiny Dancer, Private Dancer.
No, what do they call him? What do they call him? They call him like the fucking caveman or some shit like that. He's so dumb. He practices. He stitches them up when they have a shootout, and then he loses his license to practice medicine because of it. And he's
It
living
was
in a
Sam
van.
something. Sam.
Oh, it's it is Sam. His name is Sam.
It is Sam,
Yes,
yeah.
it is. It's
They call him Sam the Caveman because that
Yeah,
one
say
fucking
Caveman
episode,
Sam, dude.
and they start a new season where Sam's fucking gone.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
they just find him legit living in a cave.
cave,
But
yeah.
this is after they already call him the caveman. So
Yup,
it was
yeah.
a
But they
perfect
just
story
find
loop.
him in a
Perfect
cave.
story loop.
Yeah, but it's shit like that that just
So you guys want to hear the embarrassing story about me and it used to be Record City or Record Town and now it's FYE. And
Yeah.
I think also
Record
that's
Town?
gone now. Yeah, so before FYE became FYE, it was called Record Town.
Are you talking about at Great Northern?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
let's hear
so when I was younger, I as a Christmas gift from my aunt and uncle, I got a gift certificate for Record Town, and it was this little gold coin, that's how they did their gift
Oh,
cards.
that's cool.
It was pretty
I love
cool.
gimmicks like
It was
that.
legit.
Fuck
I remember my aunt made me feel like shit on Christmas because I was young, so I opened it up and I was like, "Oh, cool, a coin," and I threw it to the
Yeah.
side. And my aunt goes, "Do you even know what that was?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was a cool coin." She was like, "Why don't you look at it again?" So I did. Whatever.
Why does your
So-
aunt like a flirty gay guy?
Because
Your aunt's a fucking gay guy.
because she didn't choose that, she just is it. So
You kind of just chose that when you decided how to talk.
Used to be my Uncle Jimmy. Now it's my Aunt Tina.
so finally, I get my parents to drive me the fuck out there because they never drive me anywhere. I get to the mall and I'm with my dad, who typically I'd say 95% of the time didn't give a shit what I did, ever. Didn't matter what I was doing. Did not give a shit. So I go to cash out and I have Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP
Yo.
CD.
All right, hold on.
Dude, I was 13 or
Hold up.
14. I was really young.
Hold up. We're gonna connect on this right now. We're gonna admit to each other as 30 or almost 30-year-old grown-ass men that was the best Eminem record, period.
I think all Eminem records are dope. but that was one of
He's a
the
fucking
best.
savage,
That was the
dude.
one, dude.
That was the breakout.
That was the
record.
best for me. That was
Yeah,
that was the
that
record
was
where
it.
everyone
Yeah, it
went,
was.
"Yo, this guy's for real." That was for real.
yeah.
So
Okay.
so I get up to the counter and I'm like, I feel fucking hard because I'm 14. I got my Marshall Mathers LP disc in hand. I'm in 9th grade. I'm like, yo, I can't wait to put this in my fucking Sony Walkman and get on the bus.
The yellow one?
And be the hardest dude on the bus, right? So the lady working the cash register did something that they were supposed to do, but nobody else ever fucking did whatsoever, and was like, "Excuse me, sir, but this has a parental advisory sticker
get
on the
outta
album,
here.
so I need to talk to your parents before I sell you this." So my dad was at a different store, and I'm sitting there going, "Well, this is fucking stupid," because I already knew that my dad was not going to be cool with it. So I was just like, "All right, bitch, whatever. I'll go get my dad." So
It's just a hard ass 13-year-old.
So I go and get my dad. I'm like, I left the CD with her, and I go and get my dad, thinking this is going to be one of the 95% times where he just goes, I don't give a shit, buy it. So instead, my dad had this one moment of clarity where he goes, all right, well, we're going to buy this, and I'm going to take it home and listen to it, and if I don't like
That's
it,
a fucking nightmare.
Oh no.
he's like, if I don't like it, I'm just going to break it.
Not
and
that
you're
record.
going to waste your gift certificate. And I was like, okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get this CD, and then we're going to get home. My dad's going to forget that he ever said that, and I'll be fine, and I'll have this dope Marshall Mathers CD. So I get home, and apparently my dad was like on blow or something that night because he remembered what he said, which was the first surprise.
Wait, the blow helped him remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I've heard that too.
I
we get-
wouldn't know.
So we get home, and I had this little like Panasonic boombox in my room, right? That had a CD player, radio,
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
dude.
There were 2 speakers on the side.
I did welded to it. I remember
yeah,
those.
everyone had those. Yeah. So he's like, okay, go get your fucking stereo and play this record for me, so I can hear what it is. So I started playing the CD, and we got through about 2.5 songs, and my dad actually came through on his word and smashed the fucking CD.
Did he then like take the half of it and like just take a credit card out and cut some coke up on the CD?
No, he never let us see it, even though we knew.
Oh, I was making a joke. I didn't know your dad did coke. That's different.
Well, it was like once in a while.
I mean that's
just like any other grown human.
we got to get video for this next time.
Yeah.
So regardless, I never got that CD from Marshall Mathers, but luckily 2 weeks later I was introduced to LimeWire, and I downloaded it anyway. And
And then your dad
And then
really.
never had
yeah,
control of
at that point my parents were powerless.
Well, what happened
over,
was
dude.
your parents were fucked because you ruined their computer with viruses, and I know
Yep.
it.
yeah, there was a lot of porn
So
going on
did
there
all
with
of
that
us,
LimeWire.
brother.
Yeah.
Dude, so fun fact to me, you guys don't give a shit. Pat hates Metallica,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
Me
fine.
too. So do I.
It's
very
fine.
strange.
It's
Why
fine.
does anyone like Metallica?
Why? It's
They're
not.
the most
let's talk-
important metal
Let's
band of
talk
all
about
time.
Metallica.
Let's get into that in 1 second, but I got to tell you. So, parental advisory thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, the retail chain that doesn't carry parental advisory like at all is Walmart, right?
Correct.
They just don't. They have AC/DC and country
They
music,
refuse
even
to.
though AC/DC is all about fucking ugly chicks and stuff.
So is country.
You know? Yeah, you're right. So, or your truck. The album by Metallica. Not that you would give a shit, Brad, but the record.
Something about black, right?
No, we don't. No, we don't talk about anything.
Okay, I'll wait till
after
we
that
get into
record.
Metallica.
Anyway,
I need some education on that.
oh,
so
I'm
we'll
gonna
wait.
educate you, boy. And Justice for All, their best record. Nobody can fight me on this. Fuck everybody else who thinks
There's
differently.
only even one other album you could even try to argue, and it's Masters.
Absolutely,
Master of Puppets,
that's
but-
it. But so, and Justice for All, their best
Oh,
album.
so was black like the bad one?
No, Black's
we're
Good
gonna
is
get
just
into
so-
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
and
different.
Justice for All, their best album, is available,
Correct.
or I mean, when I was a kid, at least, like early teens, was available at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on that record, he says "fuck"
multiple times.
a few times at least in Dyer's
Yeah, a
Eve,
couple times.
but
He's
it never.
hard. Hetfield's hard.
But
He's
it
the
never
best
said
member of the
parental
band.
advisory. They never put the sticker on it. So my theory is that Tipper Gore or whatever fat white lady
that's who it was.
listened to the thing, just didn't listen far enough into the record because they didn't like the music and they never caught those fucks on the last track
That's what
and
I'm
only
guessing.
the last track. And I bought
They
it.
never caught those fucks.
They must not have because I
Guys,
bought that
Eve is
record.
like an hour into the
I
album.
have all of that stuff on CD. Same thing with Megadeth, Slayer, Iron Maiden, whatever. But like
Do you think in Walmart's like rating process they have like a missed fucks report where somebody caught that and somebody got in their email? They're like, "Yo, you got these missed fucks you got to do."
Yeah,
I
what are you
absolutely,
doing?
I can almost guarantee
pull
you that they
this off the
don't
shelf.
because Walmart doesn't give a shit about almost anything at all except making
Including
money.
all of their employees.
All right, so
Continue.
I worked at Walmart. I know they don't.
I know people that have
I bought.
to, and they
You
don't.
look like a Walmart worker.
Yeah, I am pretty ugly. It's not fair.
No,
I don't
that's a
mean that.
customer, bud.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
Walmart customer.
dude, that website fucked me up when
That's
I was a
the
kid.
best.
Okay,
Continue.
so I bought the Justice album from Walmart,
Okay.
and that was the story. They had it there. It says fuck. I bought it. I own it still, and I think that's kind of funny because Walmart's like, give us your money and buy your cheap potato chips. and-
Yeah, we don't give a shit if your
Whatever.
kids get fucked up.
yeah,
Just give us your money.
yeah.
Oh my God.
But then this chick at Record Town, or whatever the fuck it's called, is busting your balls about one of the better
Yeah,
records.
she
So
she
funny,
must have been new because nobody on
Who
earth has
gives
ever
a
gone.
shit?
I gotta talk to your parents before I sell you this album. Nobody that has ever fucking done that.
Do you
Ever.
remember when parents cared about that too, though?
No, because my mom never
You just
cared.
said your dad cared and went, that's getting smashed.
My dad cared for about 3 hours, and that was the 3 hours from when I bought the album to when we got home and he
And he
listened to
snapped
it.
it.
Yeah, and then he cared. And then after that, you were like, do you care if I buy this porn DVD? And he's like, get out of my face. Buy it. Just get out of my face.
and then let me watch
Have
it.
it- oh,
and you'll
God.
never get it back.
My
Porn?
dad took
Dude.
my porn.
Porn DVD is such a weird term.
I
nowadays.
had a couple because
Who
like
the
I had this
fuck?
one friend in high school who was like, he was like the cool dude who could like go get that shit, right? So I got a couple DVDs and I accidentally left one in the fucking Xbox that was down in the living room.
Rip.
So, but this was way later when like me and my dad were cool. Like he already had that that like moment where he showed me the Playboys and he's
like
like
he knows
"You're a
that
man
you like
now, right?"
awkwardly molested a
Like-
girl
like he
in a
did that.
bathroom in high school.
Oh, that's another weird thing. Like it was literally just him and I, and we were at the house, and he had this weird little camper out in the back. So he's like, "Son," he was drunk as fuck. So he's like,
Son.
he's like, "Son, I got something to show you."
You're like, this ain't good. Immediately. How could this be
So he
anything?
unbuckled
that's
I
good?
was interested. Like I knew,
Yeah, of course
I knew
you're
it wouldn't be
interested.
bad. I didn't know if it would be good or neutral, but I knew
He's
it
not
wouldn't
gonna
be bad.
hurt you.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah, because he was frail, but but he's like, "Come out to the camper." I can't even say it without laughing. I'm like,
Come out to the
"Come out to the camper with me, son." So we go out to this camper, and we're sitting down there, and they had this weird little fold down table. So we're sitting there, and he's like, I think I was 12, and he's like, "Son, I got something to show you." I'm like, "Okay, this is getting a little weird." So he pulls up. He pulls up. If you guys could see the room right now, Dave is my dad. I am me. There's a table between us, and AJ is like the bench seat next to us.
All right. Hold, I can cut this in. Oh shit! Sideways. God damn it! Hold on.
Yeah, but you can't cut in emotion. I'm like in the zone right now, bro.
Okay.
Jesus.
Dave and you.
Really?
I'm a bench seat.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so he picks up the bench seat and he pulls out a stack of Playboys. Right. So this is 2003-ish.
Sounds
Let's
about
see.
right.
Yeah, I graduated 2007, so this was 2002, 2003. He pulls out a stack of Playboys from like between the years of 65 and 71.
Oh,
When he
no.
was like 10.
Yeah. So he shows me a picture of this girl sitting on an old school skateboard, right? And you know, it's like an upskirt deal. It's Playboy. And he thought that I was gonna think that was like the coolest shit ever. And I just wicked did not. I was that message was not received.
You're like, K.
Yeah, like I phoned it in. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Like, we supposed to like sit here and get boners together, or what?"
Yeah, like, what the fuck is this about?
And then he just did the typical dad thing where he just goes, "All right, I'm gonna leave you with these," and he just walked back in the house. So I'm just a 12-year-old sitting on this camper by myself, looking at really old Playboys. very confused.
Like uninterested in just like, why is this how this is taking place?
Yeah, like my fucking Halo 1 game is paused inside, and I'm sitting there going...
And you were busy.
Oh, okay, thanks for this Harry Bush infographic, but I didn't need it.
Yeah. That's amazing, dude. When we were younger, we would hang out. We lived down by you didn't need to hear that. We lived down by Skyline Drive over across from like the races. And our backyard had a giant pipe in it that went over Wine Creek. And so we would walk over into the like apartments, and we knew people from school that lived over there and shit. But mostly we'd just go explore the woods in that area. And we found a sketchy like porn stash in the woods over there, and we were like, "This ain't."
I found one of those too.
Like we looked through it and shit, but obviously we looked through it one time, and we were like, "That's a bad."
A few of the
sign.
pages are stuck together.
We're gonna bounce before a guy shows up and starts trying to do stuff to us. Fuck that! So we got out of there. But
what, like it's a kiddie
just
trap?
Even seeing, yeah, dude. What? You know how many kids lived at Wine Creek and those surrounding neighborhoods?
I'm not from here, dude.
It guaranteed was just some 14-year-old boy's porn.
You could
stash,
probably
'cause you
guess.
didn't have places to get it in home.
I have seen some of them.
A lot of kids, man. A lot of kids around here. That's like what Oswego was. When we were growing up, you lived here because you worked at the nuke plant or Novellis and you were raising a family. That's about it.
Let me hit you with that story that you did when you're ready.
Yeah, go.
Are you ready?
Whatever.
So speaking of the people that live here or that lived here or hopefully are dead now, I don't know.
Oh, God.
Remember that time that you were in the car, I think it was me, you, and Pat, and we were going to get Steve because we were going to practice or a show or something.
Yeah.
And the three of us or whoever it was in the car, and we go to get Steve, and we're waiting for him to come down from his apartment, and there's just a guy in the middle of the intersection, shirtless, with it must have been like a natty daddy or something, you know, just out of the paper bag, and he's just like swinging his arms,
container full blast, yeah.
and he was just yelling at somebody who happened to be in his head that none of us could see.
It's probably Clarence.
I like that you know his name.
Yeah, of course.
Probably Clarence.
Everybody around here knows Clarence.
Clarence, if you're listening, we love you, man.
I don't know how.
No,
he'd be
we
listening.
fucking
He's
don't.
homeless.
Don't come to Burned Area or I'm calling the cops.
You're also a piece of shit.
Yeah,
So-
go ahead. Fuck
So
yourself.
the punchline, the best part of this whole story is we all see this guy at the same time. We're just sitting there in the car waiting for Steve, and Dave just taps us both on the shoulders and leans in and goes, "Dude, he's hard."
Dude, you got to make the best of it. When everywhere you look, you just can't stand what you're seeing all day long. You got to make fun of it. You got to make the best of it, man.
There's nothing else
This
to do.
place is super fucked up, and people that live here and don't think this place is fucked up, they only tell themselves it's not fucked up because they've never been anywhere else ever, and they can't accept the fact that they're going to spend their whole life in this shit dump town.
I got to argue
They
that
can't
point.
handle it.
I got to argue that point. My argument is that there are certain circles in this town that are super fucked up, but there are circles that are not, and it depends on what circle you're in.
Yeah, but the circles that aren't is like 25 of us in a town that's population 20,000. And that's hard to argue.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess that's true.
There's good people in this town, but it's like every 1 to 100. And the 100 is just bad garbage.
This town is unique in that you can drive 1 mile and go, oh, this is a lovely beach. And you can drive a half a mile and go, oh, there's people playing golf. This place must be nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can drive another mile and you can go, oh, there's a 7-year-old smoking crack and stabbing people. It's all very close quarters.
Okay, so let me give you the geography of Albany, New York, because that's where I live. And any given city, anywhere I've ever been, I've driven over Salt Lake City. I've been to like San Francisco, Chicago, New York, LA, Boston, blah blah blah.
Wow, braggadocious.
Yeah, I'm pretty middle class.
Weird flex, but okay.
We've all been on the road, so we know that's not a flex. He's complaining about it.
I'm about to,
Anything AJ says is a complaint.
more or less, and I like to spend money anyway. So
Thanks, Daddy.
So we're any given city that I've ever been to makes sense. There's a downtown area, and then outside of that downtown, it's like a little circle, and then bigger circles radiate outward.
Yep.
Right? So think about any given city.
Usually,
New York City. Manhattan is your downtown.
Sure.
All the other things radiate outward. You know, you go up to the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, parts of Jersey. It gets thinner population, then it turns into suburbs, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Albany, New York is the worst geographic clusterfuck I've ever seen or lived in. And I mean, I like living there. It's totally a great place to live. It's on par with everything else.
Yeah,
but
I've always liked Albany.
the infrastructure is dog shit. So, I mean, it's old. Old as dirt. Henry Hudson, those Dutch doughy motherfuckers come and settle the area, you know. And
Is that you? Because you're doughy.
I'm doughy Polak, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Wrong class.
Yeah. Downtown is butted up against the river, the Hudson River, and that's it. So downtown is like, if you think of like a rainbow, it's like the tiniest little semicircle. And then instead of radiating outward, like you cross the river, you go to all the different, you know, towns and stuff. That's just where they cook the meth and like marry their cousins and stuff. Like they didn't just carry the city across the river. They just let it kind of go back into the wild.
It's very weird.
And it's not the Adirondacks, so nobody cares. And then Albany is like if you throw a ball or something like that trajectory, that's the safe part of Albany. So downtown is up against the river, and then it goes to the student ghetto, and then heading directly west is like the decent middle class area, and then it's an industrial wasteland, and then it's where I live, and then it's another ghetto, and then it's another river.
What do you mean by ghetto? Can you explain that?
I'm getting there. So so if you're on the thin like 2 mile tall strip of safe area in Albany, directly above that is gang territory.
Correct.
Confirmed. Actual gang territory.
Which gangs?
It's the Bloods. They've
Nice.
got they set up
Is
shop.
that why you're wearing a
Is
red
there-
shirt?
I mean, I don't want to get killed, so I'm not going to wear blue there.
Smart.
I'll tell you a story about that after. And then directly below that is the student ghetto for all the 9,000 colleges we have out there. And then directly below that is like the lower income projects ghetto, which is unfortunate because those people just have a hard time. But it's like just it's a thin line because they used to have it used to be open for events before college kids fucked it up. There's an armory out there, an old armory that they would do concerts and events at, and it's literally on the block where it turns from the Bloods run this neighborhood and everything is condemned to, oh my God, we're in college, let's get drunk and party on Lark Street. And it's the weirdest like dichotomy of one butted up against the other. But
Do the college kids know that like that line is there?
I don't know if they know it's there or not.
Is there any history of crime? Whereas like
Oh, dude. I mean, the college kids helped perpetrate it. That's the problem. Like, the armory got closed down because they did, like, a foam party. You remember when those were cool 10 years ago when we were children?
They weren't cool.
Where they
but
just put a bunch of bubble bath
They're still
bubbles.
cool.
Yeah, okay. So for everybody who doesn't do a lot of ecstasy, they film a gymnasium with bubble bath bubbles and let kids go crazy. So
Sounds very
a
cool.
bunch of kids left this party at this
they're
armory.
wicked fun, dude.
And they flipped a car over, and then they flipped
What
another
the
car over.
Okay,
and then
that
they,
part's not.
Now
And they
we're
flipped a
talking.
cop car over.
Now we're talking.
So they ruined it for everybody. Like, I saw Lamb of God there when I was a
Yo,
kid.
those parties suck until there's destruction.
Yeah, it's not a place I'd choose to like
Tower Park,
live.
really,
Like, I wouldn't live
Sunny
above
Valley.
any of those bars. It's sketchy. Anyway, yeah, dude. So the story I have about the ghetto with the Bloods in it. And if anybody lives in that ghetto and I'm wrong, please don't kill me. I mean, I'm not going to
Kill
visit.
him. Please
just
kill
run.
him.
Just run.
So I used to live.
We've all just been waiting for something.
I used to live above that ghetto in the other industrial wasteland that used to be a bunch of warehouses and factories. And I worked in the student ghetto. I worked at one of the colleges. So the direct route is a place called Henry Johnson Boulevard. And it's like a start stop, tons of lights. They're always red, really trashy. Like, people with signs.
It's just.
What do their signs say?
All of the homeless people hang out there.
When you say
and
people with
fucking ask
signs,
for money.
can you dive into this a little bit? What do their signs say?
just like, you know, it's the generic stuff that you see
Honk if
that
you're
like
horny?
I wish. This is stuff I feel bad about, but like I mean, I'm a lower middle class white guy, so like I can't really do anything about my status either. So it's just like, you know, help, unemployed, homeless. I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm fucking poor too. I'm just
Wow, you're such an ally.
I really am.
Who gives a shit? Go buy another natty daddy, scumbag. I don't.
I mean, you cater
I
to
care
them,
about
so.
people
No,
a
you
lot. I try very hard to be a good person, but I live in a weird, fucked up place, and I see a very high density of people come up to people going, I don't have anything, sir, please help me. And I hear him say it to a guy gives him a 5, and right in front of that guy, they're sprinting like they're fucking running a marathon. Not a marathon, like a 100-meter dash. Like they're sprinting to the cooler to get a 25-ounce Natty Daddy with the money the guy just gave them because they really are hurting for money.
Yeah, they call
go
that
fuck
they
yourself.
call that the Usain Bolt to the cooler.
Yeah.
My favorite was
Ridiculous, man.
when you were
It's not all
leaving.
like that, but it's
Wait,
90% of the time.
Is that guy's name really Usain Bolt?
Yeah,
That's correct.
the
yeah.
Olympic runner. He
Yeah,
won
he
like
broke the
1 or 2 years. 2
shattered
years?
the world record for the 200-meter.
Do you think is he like so genetically predisposed that his parents just knew he was gonna be
He
the
knew.
fastest, so they made up that last name and they were like they found them.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like they
probably.
found them in Africa and they knew they were gonna have the fastest kid ever. So they're like,
Somehow.
so what's your last name? And they're like,
government experiment, dude.
Bolt.
Here's how you know. All you have to do is look up if Africa's Olympic team is government funded, and you're going to get your answer right there.
Well,
Trust
the
me.
answer is Africa doesn't have a government.
Y'all got
so-
computers in your
No,
pockets. You
really?
can Google that shit.
That's an interesting take on that.
Did you guys know? So okay, so all of the maps that we see, right?
Okay.
All the maps. I mean, are you done?
Oh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to
Go
see what
for
you're
it,
going
bro.
with this.
Well, I know
I'm
everyone's
looking
really
up the
interested.
Oh, my
African
story
thing.
sucked. Just go.
Well, no,
Just go.
everyone's really interested in Albany, but they're actually not. So
That's totally fine.
what's interesting to me is that the maps that we see, this is what I learned, the maps that we see in school are skewed, and the continent of Africa is actually way fucking bigger.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like
I saw that.
way
Gigantic.
bigger.
I realized that
Yeah.
the other day, actually. Yeah, like within the last week or so, I saw like it was a
Yeah.
different perspective map or something where they drew it more
Accurately?
accurate to
Yeah,
like the size
it's
of the
actually
land,
real. Yeah.
like the way because it doesn't bend. Yeah.
So, what do you guys make of that? What's the implications of that? How many more people are there than we know of? Like, is Europe and North America such a huge industrial mega complex that they think that Africa doesn't matter?
I don't know who said that to you.
At
Hard
what
to
point?
say.
No, at what point is Africa going to become a country or a continent where they've got the same resources that we do as far as information, and they get on the internet and they go, "You guys are bugging everything."
Yeah, you
thought
guys are way the fuck
forever."
off.
So
Right? They're like, "Yo, we got Usain Bolt. That's just the first step."
okay. So trying to not make this
It's a
like
reach, but I
political,
like it.
trying to sidestep any people.
Oh no, this is geographical in
No,
nature
but-
whatsoever.
So
There's no
from what I
politics.
understand
Yeah,
in
we're
my
not
limited scope,
By
because
saying that you just made it political.
I did just make it
Why
political.
did you do that? Why?
Yeah, Orange Man bad. I'm not an expert on anything at
No,
all.
we're just a bunch of assholes.
We know.
But what I'm going to speculate is that from what I understand, a lot of like different parts of Africa have different climates and such because it's such a large continent, right? You know, the United States is relatively the same everywhere. There's some variation, but like we're not even like that close to the equator. Yada, yada.
Alaska's the same as Florida. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, that's what I meant exactly. So Africa, a lot of it is like Saharan desert. And then there's like the sub-Saharan, which is a little bit harder to inhabit. So I don't know if it's like a population density issue as much as maybe it is like
Just landmass in general.
or like a cultural issue. Like maybe internet and just like all this stuff that we take for granted in our United States centric world and we say is like important to us or that makes a lot of sense to
It's
us.
important to the rest of the world.
Maybe it's not as important. Maybe like think
Yeah.
about
I mean,
this is a weird example, but think about Japan. From what I know about Japan, and I'm not the expert, and we actually have Dave's wife has been to Japan and spent time there if she wants to get on microphone. Japan, a lot of their culture is a little different. You know, like from what I understand, which is very little, they talk about honor and things like that, and not like the stereotypical way, like everybody bows all the time, but it's a different vibe from what I've heard over there. And people are a little
Very
bit less
different.
obsessed with
very
you know,
different.
status symbols or just hoarding wealth. and it's just a different world. You know, I imagine other than the language or whatever that might be. Like if I just woke up one day, if I hit my head really hard because I'm clumsy and I fell down the stairs here at Dave's, and I could just speak fluent Japanese in the correct dialect for like Kyoto or Tokyo or wherever I happen to go, I imagine it'd be just a huge culture shock because they, from what I understand, they live life very differently than we do, and that I feel like that goes
A
for
lot
almost
of places do.
yeah, it goes for almost everybody. You know, like think about. I was talking about this with Pat the other day, last night, I guess. Think about the 40-hour work week that we have here.
Fuck that.
To me, I
Sucks
think
dick.
that's a bit excessive. To be honest with you,
There's
I mean,
countries doing 20s that make more than us annually.
there's and it's not even about the money per hour worked. I feel like I've always had a good work ethic or whatever, you know, and it's to me it's about the quality, not the quantity, unless it's something that you literally can't put down. Like if you have a job where like you just have to be present all the time,
like doing security, personal security,
right?
some shit.
Something
You don't
like
have a choice.
that. That makes more sense to me. But if it's something like clerical stuff or production or what have you, and you get burnt out, or you can only like the first 5 hours of your day are productive, and the last 3 are you just fucking off trying to go home. It doesn't seem to make too much sense to me to work that 40 hours, pay a little bit more per hour, work a little less. And, you know, again, I'm not an expert on anything, but from things that I've seen, bits and pieces, what I feel like I'm kind of getting a concept of is think about like Sweden and Norway and these other countries. You know, it's really fucking cold up there. They have a lot of darkness in the long winters and stuff like that, but their people seem to be, at least, you know, data-wise, spreadsheet-wise, less depressed, less upset. They have a better, I guess, borderline, like baseline quality of life.
Seems to be the case.
Seems to be from our...
Seems to be the case.
The difference is here in America, we're very work-driven. We have the motto of you live to work. And a lot of other places in the world see the opposite.
Yeah.
You work only so that you can live.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
And
It's a different mentality of kind of seeing your everyday life.
so I don't know if that picked up, but that whole live to work versus work just enough to live comfortably is a big is guys, I guess what I'm getting at. And like all the political stuff, universal health care, socialism, all that shit aside, like what I wonder is if I worked a 30-hour work week, I guess what I'm getting at is I feel like where I am in my life right now, that extra 10 hours, if I like got that time back, would be incredible.
So
Incredible.
What
I
I ask myself and what I want to know is, would I actually do anything with that 10 hours?
You jerk off more.
I mean, probably, but
what I wonder is if America got to be a superpower because our mentality is live to work, then would we even be having the option to have this conversation?
Hard to say.
Right?
yeah,
We-
I have no idea.
I think when the mindset was live to work, it made more sense because we were in a time of booming industry.
Which we're
and
not
innovation,
anymore.
and we're not like there's definitely still innovation stuff, but it's not the same.
It's
there was
different,
there was without
That's-
president before. Like we had
that's
no.
the hard thing. Where we have these groups that are calling to adjust our political philosophies to match these other countries. There is so it's not like one or the other. There's so many things that contribute that how could you say that if we change one thing, then we're going to be exactly like these other countries that
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh,
you know-
I mean, we wouldn't be.
right.
That's the
so,
answer.
Yeah,
So,
no,
so
yeah.
that's the hard thing is that we got here by being one way. So now we want to change that one way, but
I think
how is that going to how's that going to affect the
I feel like
future?
the problem is all these other countries have been continuously changing, and we're not. We're just stuck in the same mentality that we've always been stuck in for 100 years.
yeah, that's what I was just
I don't
saying.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
And they're doing newer.
This is
things
this
and
is what the
changing
problem
their
is.
No, I-
constitutions
The problem
and
is-
stuff, and we're not.
The problem is that as the world has changed around us, we have refused to adapt to it. And we just still run on all these systems that worked in the 60s, but it's 2019, and the technological advancements and the changes in the rest of the world are advancing past us, and we're just sitting here with our thumbs up our asses, and we're not getting on board with that.
I don't.
And some good, some bad.
I don't think that's true.
I guess what I don't know if we
I think
need
it's
to.
undeniable.
I don't know if we need to go like super into this. We can if
No,
you guys want,
no,
but
we
I guess
wicked don't
I guess
have to. It's all good.
my rhetorical question is more like my rhetorical question is more like I don't really have a stance on this. I don't really know if I like would fight like crusade style.
No, me neither.
To fight
I purely
for
speculate.
something,
I don't
but
give a fuck.
I guess my rhetorical question would be like, is any of this even? We don't know the future, and that's the scary part,
Hell no.
right? Like, think about
I do.
our parents. You know, we're all like roughly 30. Our parents are roughly 50 to 60, whatever. Cell phones didn't exist.
No.
That wasn't even something somebody thought about.
That's such a big. That's like what I'm talking about.
I think
But I guess extrapolating upon that, like if you look at the advancement of any of recorded history that we feel like we can get a grasp on or we understand as like the humans in 2019, there's so much explosive growth in the last 150 years since industrial revolution and all that kind of stuff took hold, manufacturing, automation. None of us have any idea even like 3 years from now what's going to go,
Correct.
what's going to happen. So, I mean, I guess I'm along for the ride. I'm hoping for that, like, download my brain into a immortal body thing, but I'm going to
That'd be
derail
sick.
this really hard right now. So, like, I don't claim to have, like, anxiety or depression or anything like that, like, to an extent that it's, like, needs to be medicated or
I
anything.
feel like
but
everybody does. a
but
little
what
bit.
terrifies me, my deep-seated fear more than anything in the whole world is like the thought of like dying and nobody cares and it doesn't matter. And it's not like an ego thing. What it really is like I only have X amount of days that I have to wake up, take a shower, go to work, do whatever work, and then the work won't matter in 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. And then I do that for however long, and then my heart stops. Like,
That's
how do I
correct, yeah.
cope with that?
You don't. There's no. Yeah, you don't.
You know?
You just have to maximize your time. The only thing you
So-
can ever do in life is try to make the absolute
What is it-
best experience you can for yourself while you have it.
And that's what I try
And
to
try to make it better for the people.
And I mean,
around you,
that's
too.
why I'm here. That's why we're doing
Yeah,
this.
that's
This
why
shit's
everybody
great.
does what we do. Yeah. At
But
least
it's
us.
just, it's weird because if you really,
That's not even close. I just said that's why everybody
So-
does
so
what they
I-
do. So many people don't do that.
No,
shit.
I know,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, if you break it down to like a molecular level, you like dissect this as far as it goes, and this is the truly terrifying part to me: is whose system of judgment are you using to decide if you've lived a life worth living? Are your own, somebody
Ooh.
else's, society at large? Like,
That's deep.
So
I don't know. It just terrifies me
I-
to think that like if I feel like I lived a good life, but nobody gives a shit, and it's up to
It's up to you, bro.
So
anyone
I had
else.
this conversation with somebody once, and I was expressing the same concerns. What we talked about was the fact that the human body is comprised of the same 5 elements in the same proportions as every other celestial being. And when I say celestial being, I mean every other star, every other planet. They're all comprised of primarily like carbon, nitrogen, helium, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Yeah.
So when we were basically talking about what our purpose in the universe is, and what the person I was talking to, her name was Karen. She was a very enlightened person, and what she said was kind of astounding. She essentially said that being that you are literally made up of the same things as the entire universe, your only purpose is to be an eye or a lens on the universe. So whatever you can do to increase your own personal experience, so hedonism aside, whatever you can do to make your experience matter, whatever you can do to feel better, to feel more, to feel like
Fulfilled,
you're
like-
expanded, to feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
You're performing your duty. So if that's
Yeah,
all
the
you
whole
do,
point of life.
if that's all you do is make yourself feel good for your whole life, then that's not a bad thing, because what you're doing is sufficing to the fact that your role in the universe is to be a lens unto itself and to make sure.
Holy shit!
Right.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, and to
Heavy
make
duty
and to make
stuff,
sure
I can get on
Yeah.
board.
to make sure that your experience is not wasted.
So
Correct, wet
and
bass.
I'm not like trying to refute that because I feel like any interpretation, any speculation at this point is valid because we just don't know. There's
We
no
don't know. You don't
nobody
get to
knows.
know.
Everybody has a good idea
I
of
think if we knew it,
what's
would be
life
kinda
after
fucked
death,
up.
heaven,
Yeah.
hell, blah blah blah, whatever,
it,
man.
it just gets complicated because we also have responsibilities as humans to try to further the human race, right?
Correct.
Which is where industry comes from, where our place in
Yeah.
the workforce comes from. So that makes things a little more convoluted. So you can't just wake up every day and go, this is what makes me feel good, so this is what I'm going to do.
right.
No, because every single guy in the world would just jerk off of morning to night.
Yeah.
They go, this feels better than fucking working.
I
so I'm just
would
gonna do
would
that.
rather be I'd rather be jerking off
You
right
get
now.
raw
and
eventually,
don't get me
like-
wrong, I love you guys, but I would rather be jerking off right now than talking to you guys.
Oh, yeah. Because we're human bodies.
But
So-
we have
We're designed for
responsibilities
that.
to each other and to
Yeah.
the world to try to
Yep.
be part of the bigger picture.
And it's
right?
worth noting, I feel like everybody doesn't get to be the Elon Musk or whatever, or the Einstein or whatever, you know? Everybody's purpose and everybody's place in that grand scheme of furthering the human race is not necessarily to be like the most important dude on the fucking planet.
Well, that's
Most people won't be.
That's
and
the
most
thing, like-
people, that bugs them.
But
That's
there's
like
no
an
need to
ego
be.
They
thing.
feel like they're the
why,
hero of
why
the
do
story.
you have to be is what I'm saying.
But there is no hero.
Right,
It's
right.
just, it's
That's
just happening.
So that's what I'm getting at. So
And then there's Schwarzenegger. And now there's a hero.
and Cena.
And John Cena, yeah, and Kurt Russell,
Jesse
and
Ventura,
Tombstone
thank
with
you.
the mustache.
I guess that's what I wondered. You know, like it's. I mean, there's no definitive answer that we're. I mean, we're
No.
just three dudes sitting around talking to
I always tell
hopefully
people,
anybody, but it's just.
I like to think this is good discussion that people would like to listen
Yeah,
to. Though.
I mean, we'll find out like a
tell
month from
people
now,
that
so.
if you're thinking about anything in your life other than trying to make it the best you can for yourself, however you find that, then you're thinking about it all wrong.
So I have a question, and this is. I'm not trying to like derail that, but
Sure. Go ahead.
what happens like when you're married or when you have a kid or both? And I mean, I know that's like such a dumb question to
I
ask,
got something on that.
but you know, like
I just spilled beer on my butt.
I speculate. I don't have kids. I speculate based on people that I know that have kids.
Yeah.
What I think it is, and if it's quick. I feel like
Definitely spilled beer on my butt.
when you have a child, now you have chosen to take on a specific role in the furthering of the human race, which is to directly influence the next generation of our race and to prepare them for their attempt at furthering even further. And now
Yeah.
that's how you're going to further the human
So-
race.
so you're-
you're going to raise more humans directly
generally
right there.
as
you know?
somebody without a child as well. Generally, it seems to me. It's
Doesn't have to be the only way.
pretty much the same
But
frame
it's
of
one of 'em.
reference you have friends with kids and such, so forth, family, other kids. It seems like, and I don't want this to sound like a negative because it's not, but it almost seems like at that point you choose to live for yourself and your kid as well.
Correct.
You're trying to live through your kid, not vicariously like you want to go back to kindergarten because that shit sucked.
No,
Except
it's
nap time would
getting
be
them
great.
ready
Some
to-
people do that, and it's cringy as fuck.
very cringy, very cringy.
The
Dance
helicopter
moms and
parent
stuff.
thing.
Oh my god!
Oh my god,
Out in
dude.
the
You ever-
crowd doing every move.
You ever go to a dance competition? Oh
No,
my
and I don't
God.
want to.
I
Thank
have.
God.
It's a
Save me from
fucking-
this.
So bad.
Oh, it's so funny though.
It is
love it.
hilarious. So bad.
There's not enough footage of just the crowds. Just all the fucking 350-pound
So-
moms
so this is-
doing every
okay,
move
okay.
because they're not 10 anymore.
So let me speak on this for a second. So I have
Yeah,
kids.
you have kids, man. You have two.
Right. So I have kids, and to me, the fact that I personally have kids and I am a person on Earth that decided to do that is minimized by the fact that the group that we've cultivated is more important than just the fact that I have kids. And what I mean by that is when people say tribalism these days, it's a bad word, because what that means is
Which is unfortunate.
right.
Correct.
It means you're cutting yourself off from other people, right? So tribalism means you're so stuck to your ideas that you're unwilling to learn from other people. I talk to my kids about tribalism, and what I explain to them is that a tribe is like a family, but it means more because you get to choose who's in your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big difference. Like, you can't choose who's in your family, but you can choose who's in your tribe.
Yeah.
And when my daughter comes home from school and she's talking about relationships that she's making, and she's talking about people that are mean to her, and she's talking about people that are nice to her, and the first thing I tend to ask is like, okay, well, do you consider this person a part of your tribe? And she'll be like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, is this a person that you care about what happens to them, or do you care about who they are? And she'll say yes or no. So to talk about humanity whatsoever and tribalism is important. I'm losing myself here. I'm losing my train of thought. I lost it. I'm
Oh
gone.
no.
I'm
No,
gone.
he was talking about tribalism and how
It's not a bad thing anymore. So
no, he was saying how people say it's a bad thing and you don't like that it is. The thing about tribalism is that the human experience is something very unique, because if you experience it completely alone, it's almost always super fucked up. It leads you to be a serial murderer and shit. Like, it's bad. It's terrible for humans. You have to surround yourself with a group of people that you choose, right? Now, there's the whole world going on in the grand scheme of things, and the whole human population is everything going on at all times, right?
Yeah.
But your tribe is like the people you surround yourself with on purpose, because you're choosing to experience the world together with them. They're not necessarily your immediate family, but like you said, they're more important because they're the people that you are choosing to connect with, like one-to-one interfacing on the world as it happens around all of you together, you know? That's like, that could be anything from your neighborhood being like, did you like, oh shit, like whatever happened in our neighborhood, and we all experienced that together. It's like a moment of tribalism, right? But it's really like our band and our spouses and our
That's
kids
what I wanna
and
talk about.
our best friends and stuff. It's like, these are the people that we have chosen to experience this whole thing together, whatever the fuck it ends up being, and we don't know, but
Thank you for that, because
That's
I
a big
completely lost
deal.
my train of thought, and that was exactly it.
Mhm.
It's that you get to choose who is important for your circle and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And that's huge, and that does have a lot of negative impact when you go, I want to be friends with these people because I think they're cool, and then you find out that they are in the fucking Ku Klux Klan or something, right?
Oof, yeah.
And you're 12, and now all of the influence on you is this tribe of people. They're just a tribe because they're the people that are around you, that are close to you. So they're going to directly influence how you are learning to experience the world. And they're giving you a really fucked up view of the reality of the world that is not real, And that's dangerous. That's super dangerous when people are around that.
But the reason I think it's important is just because in school, when they're so young like that, or like we were young at that point,
yeah.
we were so confused, and there were so many different influences.
Yep.
And
Everywhere.
that kind of gives sort of a guiding light as to what you should actually give a shit about. It's like a prioritization tool.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, something happens to somebody else, and it's easy to get so enveloped and to want to be involved. But sometimes you just got to ask yourself, like, is that part of my tribe? Like, does that affect me? And it's just an important tool to me for fucking young kids. I know we're off the track of
No,
where we
no.
were.
So my
Because what we were talking about was like human purpose. What's the purpose of life?
I
and
can't.
how does that change when you
No.
have kids?
I can't get into that because I'll lose my mind right now.
No. Because we were talking about how does that change when you have kids?
Yeah.
Because he has kids and he was trying to get to that. Yeah.
So I guess my next question in that line of there's two ways this could go. We can go the question way, or we can go the experience way. The question is, do we think that, I know this is such like a news like BuzzFeed article thing, but like honestly I wonder, do we think that like the access to the internet in our pocket, like social media, like especially for young kids is like a big deal? Because I do. But aside from that,
My kids watch YouTube a lot.
Oh, dude, I know it's terrifying
it's
to me.
scary.
It
It's
is
scary.
The other way we
it's
could
also it's a double-edged sword. Go ahead.
Yep.
we can go down that rabbit hole.
So is everything.
The other rabbit hole I had is spoiler alert. I actually did like write down a whole bunch of topics that I thought maybe we could get into, but like none of it matters. We're just talking. But
Yeah.
one of them was I just put it 3 words. I made it simple. I put band as family, and I think that's something we could talk about at some point.
I think that's yeah, dude. Yeah, we can talk about it right now.
Why don't we take a step back from we're like way out here in the ether. Right?
Yeah, I don't know how we got
so,
there.
So
but
why
it's
don't,
good.
why don't we take a step back and why don't we talk about how we all fucking met each other?
Oh my. Okay.
that's
Yeah,
perfect.
man.
Why
That's
don't we
perfect.
we'll ground ourselves. We'll get there.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
So who wants to start?
I feel like Dave is the first one out of the 3 of us for this project, so that makes the most sense.
I'd agree.
Okay, so the way, this one started out of the ashes of Spire because I had gotten asked to join Spire like right before they broke up. And then when they decided to call it quits, I was like, Pat, we got to just start something. The reason why is because I met Pat earlier, before I knew anybody else. I met Pat when I was like 18 in my old band, Perpetual Burn.
Before you were asked that, were you like... Sorry, after you were asked that, before we were going to start Anabasis, were you kind of not cool with joining Spire, or how'd you feel about joining Spire? Because I know that
I was
that
ready to
musical
go.
taste wasn't quite your...
The thing is I didn't know enough about the situation to know how it would have gone. I would have ended up probably not working out, but it's because I have such a heavy influence on the songwriting. Right. And they already had their system worked out, and I was going to step in and go, very cool, here's like 1,000 albums worth of material and ideas and shit, and they were going to go 0, and I'd go, wrong guy. Then
I only ask because after working with you for 3 years, to imagine you being a part of Spire, and after hearing Spire, there's a disconnect there.
There is, yeah.
So-
it's not my style, but
and-
I would have. Their style would have changed.
And I don't
if
want
I was the guy.
I don't want to cut him off because I want him to finish this, but I was
But I'm going to cut him off.
I'm gonna cut him off.
Go ahead.
I've been like a long time fan of that. So Spire was Pat's, our vocalist, half guitarist band before this, and it went a long time, like 15
14
years since like he was a child.
Yeah, they
like
started it when they were like
so I mean
in
it's
8th grade. Or
it was
some
like
shit.
probably like 4 different bands, you know, and I have the records on my computer to prove that it was like 4 or 5 different bands.
Yeah.
I, as a fan of the band, not just, you know, because I know the guys or anything, but as a fan of the band, I think it would have worked. I think you guys would have made it work together.
Yeah, we would have.
And I was really excited to hear that you were going to play.
It
for
would have
them.
sounded like an Anabasis, though.
And
probably would
it
have
probably
just
would've.
turned into an Anabasis.
And then I was bummed when the band kind of fell apart. But I'll tell my story in a minute. But anyway, so you met Pat as a kid.
When I was 18, I started my old band Perpetual Burn with my brother and my good buddy Grant Davis and Joe Motika and our friend Paul Haggerty, and we did an album. And we played our first shows and stuff. And one of the first shows we played as a band, and I mean, this was some of the first shows any of us had ever played live, period. We played at Harborfest during a battle of the bands, and we came in second place, and the band that came in first place was Spire. And that's how we met all those guys. They beat us in a battle of the bands, which was cool as fuck, man. We loved those guys. They were terrible as fuck, and we were terrible as fuck, and we had no business being in first and second, other than there were nothing but even worse bands at the time. Like, it was hell on earth for music in Oswego at the time. There was absolutely nothing. So, and it got nasty because so many good bands came out like all around that same time with Psychopath and Cosmic Sea. Like,
Yeah, dude.
it was cool. But so if you skip forward a couple years, we did a 5-song EP in Burn that we self-produced. And that was when we kind of like were getting more serious as a band about our music and started to kind of take on the reputation that we had for having like musicianship. And then at the same time, Spire was doing Discovery. and at
Which
the same
was a
time,
nasty
which
album.
I
was
want
a
to remix
nasty
to that.
album.
That was
so
a nasty
bad,
album.
dude.
Yep. So they did that. We were doing our 5-song EP. Cosmic Sea had just started coming out, and Psychopath was out already, and they were doing like their first line of material. And so we all connected, and there was like a couple year window where it was Spire, Burn, Cosmic Sea, and Psychopath playing shows together, like every show, and it was nasty. And that's how we got really close with Pat. And then skip years later when Burn was just me, Grant, Joe, and Schwalik.
Yeah.
And we were doing our full-length album that we never finished. We were looking for another guitarist, and Spire had went on a hiatus the first time, so we asked Pat. So then he actually played in a band with me for 3 years, or maybe 2 years. I think he was in Burn for 2 or 3 years, but that was incredible. I loved working with him then. I loved his attention to detail and, you know, everything, all the assets he brings to the table. But we had no idea what we were doing, and when he came in, I don't really think he even really knew what he were doing. The only thing we knew was our songs and like what we were trying to write and play, and it was crazy material, really crazy material.
Still is. I want that record, dude.
It's never gonna happen. No way. But anywho, that doesn't matter. Point is, so I have long-standing history with Pat, and then, when Pat was in Spire, well, Pat went to college with AJ.
All right. So I guess I can take over
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
Dave played with Pat in Perpetual Burn, and then Perpetual Burn kind of just I don't know. It just kind of disintegrated over time, as projects tend to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. We were a band for like 10 or 11 years.
Spire had some members that were moving out of the area of where they were, and things were kind of moving around. So Dave filled in for our good buddy Mike York. So that brings me to my story, and I think I'm cutting in front of Brad like chronologically, but it'll all make sense. I went to school with Pat in college, and I met him, and I was like, dude, this guy rips.
He's a savage.
He did like one of the first times I think I saw him live was with Sword of Truth.
Oh my fucking
his
God.
like joke band, which was like Steel Panther before Steel Panther. They had like the whole EP about the Chode's Caliber, which is like a tiny sword.
It's amazing.
Pat will
That's
regale us with the
hilarious.
tales on one of these podcasts at
Yeah,
some point. But
we'll do a Sword of Truth podcast.
that'll be a good one. I met Pat, and I like fell in love with the band Spire that he was in, and because I saw them play live for their bassist Lawrence's birthday, and it spiraled out of control from there. Like this whole like all of us being friends, but I was in a different band that I'm still in that I don't even care. Anyway, flash forward many years, I guess I would say I was like in like one of the mid-tier circles of Spire. You know, I wasn't in the band. I wasn't playing with them.
You were in the circle surrounding the band, though. You
I
were in
guess
their
like the
immediate circle.
consultative circle, you know,
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
hey, how do we do X, or can you help us with Y, or like, what's your opinion on this, or,
Yep.
or what have you?
Yeah.
And I mean, I took that pretty seriously. I really like that material. That last record they
Oh
put
my
out
God,
before
that
they
album was incredible.
dissolved was just top tier. I mean, Jamie King did it, for God's sake, and he does BT Bam and stuff, so Contortionist, you know, whatever. But there was like some movement within the band, and Zach Town, a good buddy of all of ours, was the second guitar player, and he was going to move to the Albany area where I live, and the geography on that was a little bit wonky, and they were looking for a replacement for Zach, which leads us to their drummer Mike York, who Dave replaced at the end. And Mike York is married to
My stepsister.
Brad's stepsister. So there was a thread there a long time ago that kind of got brought to the surface. So Brad was at one point going to potentially be the other guitarist for Spire, and then the whole thing kind of fell apart through, it just
whatever. Yeah,
it just happens. And then Brad was kind of a shoe-in for this because of the working relationship with Mike. And the funny story I have about Brad is we played a quote unquote festival show in somewhere outside of Watertown, New York, which is like Watertown's already Hicksville, and then like 20 minutes west of there is already like
You could just say some barn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally
Some
like
barn,
a
New
barn.
York.
Not even like an Amish one. Like it wasn't built well. It was just a barn, New York. And there's, I'm with my other band, and Spire was playing, and then at some point there was like a set break where
It was the end.
oh, it was the end.
Everybody was done. Yep.
Everybody was done, and two dudes just showed up and decided to play with my other drummer Julian in the other band. They were like, "Yo, throw down some beats, brother," and he did. And then they started rapping, and my face, I was so confused. And one of those
That's an
rappers
awesome
was
I slayed hard.
one of those rappers was Wanda, who happens to be Brad, and he's got to tell this story now because I told him that. Fast forwarding real quick. So, I mean, I met Dave through friggin-
Burn. It would have been.
I guess through
when
Burn.
when Pat joined Burn is when we.
Oh,
met
that
you
was a
guys.
weekend when you
We
guys
started playing with you guys
when we did the weekend or whatever. And
Yeah, well, there's that, but like even before that, we played a couple shows with you
that's
guys.
true.
in
Yeah,
Rihanna and
I mean,
stuff.
Dave's
That's how
always
we
been
met.
top tier. Drums, guitar, it doesn't matter. Like I watched the stuff they did in Burn, and I just like it's nuts. It's just banana sandwich. So I still want that record, but yeah, I mean, I was happy to be in a project with Dave from this, but I was supposed to be an interim bassist, but because I know all of these guys and because bassists are, I guess bassists that try, or I don't know what the word is for it. I don't want to give myself a lot of credit because I don't deserve it, but
Bassists that are willing to drive to rehearsal. every
There it
weekend
is.
From fucking Albany.
there are very few of them. So I turned into
No, dude, you
the
have a ton of
full-time
assets we
He's a
need,
rare
but-
breed, and we're not talking about the hair color.
No,
or the money I spent.
or the breed.
I really
Yeah.
give a fuck
Or
about
the
money you
rarity.
spend.
So I
We don't need
I
that shit.
forcibly changed it from interim basis to you're not going to find anybody else who's as
No, it just gelled. It just made sense.
obsessive as me.
When
so
we've
I'm in
talked
it.
about it, it just made sense anyways because we were just like, oh, no brainer. But he
Oh,
lives far
okay.
away, so he's going to
Well,
hate the
we're
drive.
We're all talking out of turn here because I pushed hard for you.
Oh, why? Don't tell me that. You don't be that guy. All right, so I went.
I legit contacted Pat and was like,
I also pushed for
I was
AJ.
like, AJ's
That
the
was
guy.
a
AJ's the
no-brainer.
guy.
Is it because I know the tech stuff? Is that?
Yeah, it's because he throws down like
it
100
was because
Gs on our
because
gear,
at that barn
and we
show
just pay him back till
where
we
I
die.
rapped and I rapped hard.
Yeah,
I'm not
dude.
gonna lie.
You actually did. Like I'm not gonna like
I-
try to
I
take
threw-
that
I
away
threw
from
it down.
You did.
I mean, I was better than the toothless guy. I was better.
Yeah, you were.
That's a shocker. In some barn in New York State, just question mark
Question
New
mark
York.
barn.
Yo, listen, that guy didn't have shit.
So anyway, I was
So I saw AJ at that point, and the first thing I ever heard him say was, "Yeah, you don't play an 8-string bass unless you hate yourself." And I immediately was like, "Well, this guy's a douchebag. I never want to know him."
Yep, that's true. I am a douchebag.
Now we're stuck with him.
But then I watched him play the 8-string bass, and I talked to him a few times after that. And as Anabasis was forming, I contacted Pat, and against my better judgment, was like,
There it is. There it is.
I was like, okay, this is probably the guy.
So yeah, I mean, thank you. I didn't know that, but yeah,
That's how you got in the band.
I'll say
it was
this.
all Brad.
You're welcome.
One of
Thanks.
the things I vocalized with Pat early when we were like trying to figure out who to be in the band was that I wanted AJ on for this explicit reason, not even because like one, I knew whatever anything in the songwriting that any of us ever threw down bass-wise, you were going to be able to figure out. But when we started this band, we kind of started it with the prerequisite walking in the door that it was known you were going to be able to handle it wherever the material went.
Yeah.
And if you couldn't, you were going to do the work you needed to do to be able to. And that was going to be not questioned. And then everything else that you had to learn and work on in the band was going to be the business and shit. Yeah. Because the playing just has to be checked off. It's not, it can't, it's the first thing that has to be checked.
Yeah.
So we knew the playing was going to be fine. I wanted to have somebody else that was gear savvy in this band other than myself because I knew there was no way I was going to be able to handle all the workload by myself.
Especially not as the drummer. You have
Dude,
so
there's
much
no
shit
way.
to take
There's
care
no
of,
way.
yeah. So anyway, thanks, guys. I was supposed to be part-time. I forced myself to be full-time with their help, I guess. And here we are. So, yeah, it was Brad. So now we need to hear Brad's story. So how the hell did you get involved in this nightmare that is...
So
6 people.
I met Mike. Well, let me start further from that. So when I was in high school, I was in a metal band, a few metal bands.
Penfield.
Yeah, we were super edgy. Our parents didn't understand what we were doing, and that only fueled our edge. So I was in a metal band parallel to when Dave was doing Burn.
And Spire was going on and stuff too.
Yep, and Spire was going. This was all unbeknownst to me. Dave was playing in Oswego, and we were playing in a town called Mexico that was pretty close by to Oswego.
It's like 25 minutes away or something. Yeah, it's not that far, man.
Not
if
dude,
even,
it's like
if
8
even.
minutes. Yeah.
What the fuck? It's farther. If you're going 90 on 104, it's 8 minutes.
Dude, my whole family lives in Mexico. You wanna fight me on the time?
I do, yeah.
It's legit. Like, dude, Dave just ripped ass.
Yeah, I did.
When I said you want to fight,
Bad.
he ripped ass, which means he does not want to fight.
No, I do not want to fight. I want
Either
to take
that,
a shit.
yeah, either that,
Or
or
I
it means
just
he
won,
wicked
and you
wants to
don't
fight,
realize it.
and I'm terrified.
No, anywho, yeah.
So either way, so we were playing metal at the same time, and Oswego was like the only place that we had an outlet to play shows. So we would play in Oswego all the time at this one venue called Knights of Columbus that has eventually been shut down because when I say metal, it was more hardcore, and there was a bunch of kids that were way edgier than we were.
That's a nice way to put it. Yeah, that's a safe way to put it.
That wanted to destroy the world because their parents just didn't understand.
So they would bring baseball bats to concerts. Like that has any place.
Gons. I didn't say anything. So anyway, so that was that, and it just kind of ended there for me. I continued playing music. It was like I got into some acoustic stuff, some folk stuff, and some bluegrass stuff, and I was playing all this different shit. And then finally, my stepsister married this dude, Mike York.
This bro.
Yeah, he was a
Fucking
bro.
Mike.
I didn't know he was a bro at the time. I didn't know that. That's a gap that I own. Bro. I'll live up to it. But So this dude Mike York he'd show up at all my family functions like Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatsoever. This went on for about 2 years, and he seemed like a cool dude, but he also seemed like he was like kind of short and weird. So I didn't really talk to him.
He's a little short and weird.
He's definitely pretty short and weird.
I don't know about the weird part. Maybe sexy, but
he's a sexy.
Very sexy.
If you look at him, like if he was like 4 inches taller. But he's gonna listen to this and wanna fight. And
I hope he does.
He's gonna wanna
fight
fuck
for his sake.
So anyway, so finally, after like 3 years of this dude coming to the same Christmas parties as me, we finally started talking, and he's like, oh yeah, you like metal? And I'm like, yeah, I listen to Between the Buried and Me. And he's like, yo, I love Between the Buried and Me. He's like, you should come see my band. And I was like, oh, this is gonna fucking suck. That was obviously my first thought. Anytime a family member says, yo, you should come see my band, your first thought is like,
great.
Yeah, that's going to be a nightmare.
Hard pass.
So I went and saw them at some festival they were playing, and it was Spire. He was the drummer for Spire.
Tell me it was Trish Stock, dude.
No, it was before Trish Stock.
Oh, okay.
I was already in the loop on Trish Stock. But
right.
So they played this festival, and I brought a 30 rack of beer because I'm an alcoholic, and I'm not going to go to a show and not have things to drink. And it was like some weird outdoor festival where I knew there wasn't a bar. So I said, well, I'm going to nip that in the bud, and I'm just going to bring some beer.
That's going to get taken care of.
So that prompted Pat from Spire, the first time I ever met him, to put a sign on the merch table that said, the money you buy or the money you spend on merch is not for beer. Because he was so worried that people were not going to spend money at the merch table because they thought it was going to go to the 30 rack of Busch Light that was sitting under the table that I was fucking shotgunning.
Was it the camo
For
can,
mad
dude?
street cred
The
points.
orange
What?
camo?
Huh?
Was it the orange camo can? Because that's the only way to drink Busch.
I
Light.
wish
Ugh.
I remembered what it was.
Oh,
So anyway, as far as my involvement with Spire, the rest was kind of history. I realized that they were the real deal, and I started going to all their shows. I started running the merch table with fucking Bobby Biceps. I hope you'll ever
Bobby
listen to
Blowjob,
this.
you mean?
Dude, I miss you. I would like to make out with you.
Bobby
Same.
Biceps.
Dude, that kid
That
is
kid-
so awesome.
He's like one of the most legit dudes ever. I hope you hear this. If not,
Fucking Bobby.
God, dude, that kid was awesome.
Yeah.
You
He
can't
still is,
not
I'm
say
sure.
that
Bobby
kid
was cool
awesome.
as
Yeah.
fuck.
So
Very
Pat
cool.
came over to my house one day, and one day, I sound like Letterkenny.
Back one day.
So Pat came to my house one day, and he quizzed me on a couple songs that I had already gotten tabs for and had to learn. It was Finding Up and
Jesus
the My
Christ.
Side Bias.
Oh, the hard ones. Okay.
Yeah, that's well. He's got to make sure he's got it. Yeah,
That's.
you go with
legit.
the hard ones.
Spoiler alert, I could play them.
Okay.
So Pat came over and I played him, and he was like, "Okay, you're the real deal." So when Zach Town, who fucking our giant ginger,
Another
mentioned,
fuck boy.
yeah,
another
big,
one of our
wicked big
babies.
fuck.
God,
boy.
he's hot,
so
though.
hot, dude. He's wicked hot.
I like that we both just go straight to he's hot.
He's like the hottest
He's
dude I
hot.
ever met.
The problem is he's gonna marry Laura,
the
and then
beard
like we
and
have
the
nothing to
hair.
do
Okay,
with
let's
that.
not get. Okay, I'm not like that upset about it. Jesus
I'm
Christ, your
upset.
gay is showing.
Just get
dude.
your hands on him.
He lived with me
before
for a
it's
hot
over,
minute. Did
dude.
you know
Laura
that?
will let it go down.
I don't want to know that.
Regardless.
So anyway, I learned all of Zach's parts, and Pat came over and he said, "Okay, I guess you're probably good enough, but maybe not. But we'll try it." So,
That sounds about right.
That sounds like Pat.
Sounds like Pat.
so then Pat left, and they had a show recently after, which Dave got to play, and I did not get to play.
Which is how we met.
Right, that's how we met. Yeah, which is amazing because we played shows in parallel.
For like 10 years.
For our
dude.
entire
our
adolescent life.
Yeah, yep. And adult lives.
It's actually amazing. Like, we knew who each
You're
other
done.
were.
Yep.
It's actually kind of funny because, like, Dave was, like, the guy from Oswego. Everyone's like, yo, who's the best drummer in Oswego? And everyone's like, Dave Reed. And they're like, well, who's the best guitar player in Mexico? And they're like, well, Brad DeVore. And they're like, well, which town matters? And they're like, well, Oswego.
Well, neither.
So,
Neither,
or maybe
brother.
neither. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
neither matter.
So anyway, so finally, so all the dust settled at that point, and Pat called me and he goes, well, we're done with Spire, so do you want to start a new band? And I was like, sure. And he goes, do you want to play bass? That's actually a conversation that I don't know if you know about, but
I don't, but I
Pat,
don't care,
Yeah,
really.
Pat goes, you want to play bass? And I was like, well, not really, but if I'm gonna play bass for a band, I want it to be guitar.
Yeah, dude.
So thus Anabasis was born. So that's how I met all these fucking assholes.
Yep.
Some
Yeah.
some short, hot dude joined my family. And
Why the short thing? He's not even that short, is he?
He's
are you kidding me?
I guess I haven't stood
Are
directly
you
next
kidding
to him
me?
very often.
AJ, 6'6" AJ.
Everybody's
It's
short
like,
to me. I don't
everybody's
give a
short.
fuck.
You know when you know when you go to the field days and they say you got to be this tall to ride this ride?
Uh-huh.
Mike's never ridden a ride, dude.
Oof.
Ooh, Mike's
Well,
coming
to
at
be
you,
fair,
brother.
He's going to want to fight me over this.
Yeah.
He might actually never listen to this, which might help me, but
To be fair, I'm too tall
Just
to
pull your
ride
butt
some
out
roller
and
coasters.
He'll go for it.
so essentially
Okay.
so essentially Dave got to play the show that I didn't.
The Intronaut show, is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Suck it.
He was very not pleased about it. He showed up and he goes, "This is just work. I have to."
Yeah, dude, it was such
He's like,
a nightmare.
"I just have to drive home." And I
It
was
was
like, "Okay,
such a
well."
nightmare.
So let's
I was like, "This guy's funny," but blah blah blah.
let me jump
I was
into
mostly
that.
kidding. I was mostly kidding.
No,
So-
you weren't. You did say the most insightful thing I've ever heard about being in a band at our level. And the thing that you said was, I worked this morning and I gathered up my drum set and I drove an hour and a half to be here and I got to load my shit on stage to do for 25 minutes the most indescribable, best feeling in the world. And then I have to take my drum set down and drive back tomorrow and go to work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
And
that's what it's
that
all
was
for.
the realest thing that I can say about what we're doing, is that all the work that we do, the short, I say short, very short time that we get to
Very
be on
fucking
stage
short.
and feel that what we're doing is worth it. And that stuck with me. Even before I was in Anabasis, the fact that you said that, I met you and I was like, this dude's weird as hell. Got a weird voice. I never met him.
And now,
And then you said that, and I was like,
and
yo.
now that we've been in this band for 3 years, we've had the unique experience of finding the other feeling of being in a band that compares to that, which is when you release your music to the world and you actually get reception back from people that like it
Yeah.
That's true.
and appreciate what you're doing.
So
That's true.
I guess what I was getting at with
And
this,
that never gets old. Every single time you see a post from some random stranger who's like, dude, I live in Sweden and I'm the one guy here that found your album on Spotify, but this is incredible.
I think
and I'm
we-
going to
Th-
follow
this-
you for the rest of my life now.
This is not an intentional flex, but we shipped an
No,
album
it's
to
not.
Belgium.
that's where it was. I was about to
Yeah.
ask.
Somebody.
it's one album to some random Belgian.
But you know
guy.
what?
Like,
That's
it's
one
not-
guy
it's
in
not a
Belgium
big deal,
that-
but it's a big deal to us. 'cause
Somebody
we
across
pulled
the
that
world
off.
paid money to listen to the fuck off shit that we're doing.
Yeah,
And
our
to
sad
me,
attempt at being a
that
professional
is
band,
awesome.
you know?
So I guess what I was getting at with this whole history lesson here, it was going to come out eventually on a podcast. Doesn't matter who's in the room. It's the same story.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I guess the overarching concept, what I wanted to talk about was like band as a family.
Yeah.
God, I don't know, 25
So
minutes ago
gay.
I mentioned that.
So gay.
Oh,
it
that's
is
probably more
it
than
is
that, but that's
so
okay.
gay, but it is it is how I feel though. So think about this, right? So
you
you've
spend
got
way more time together than you do with your significant others.
potentially, maybe, yeah. Like, so you've got 6 guys in this band, and that's 6 times, I don't know, roughly 8 to 10 years of playing music and trying to be in bands, local, regional, whatever the hell you want to call it. We've got like 100 years of
We
screwing
calculated
around.
it once. It was over 100 years between
Yeah.
the 6 of us.
Yeah, of
Of
us
playing live.
Yeah, of us, playing grab ass with a bunch of dudes in a small car and a bunch of gear that doesn't fit. Like it's such a strange concept, but I personally love the idea that we're kind of stuck together for better or worse. Like it's the guys that you're in a band with, and I mean,
And we don't know jack shit about this compared to the real
the
guys.
Road Dogs, correct?
Yeah, we're nothing compared to that.
But
we're not road
we're
dogs.
learning every single
We're,
fucking time
every,
we do
every
anything.
day we learn new shit
and
about
that's
how to make
that's
this
a
more
perfect
serious.
disclaimer for absolutely. But what I'm trying to think is, like, in our limited expertise,
It's
in
like
our
in our position as a band transitioning to the professional level.
exactly. I feel like it is an incredibly rewarding experience to be able to, as an individual, let yourself let yourself be open and vulnerable to another group of humans. Doesn't matter anything about them, gender,
Other than
race,
just
blah
your
blah
fucking
blah.
mom or your wife or husband or whatever.
You're able to have a connection with people that were once strangers that you feel like, as cliche as it is, like maybe you would like take a bullet for. I don't know. That's a little over the top.
You
but
find more people that you want to spend the rest of your life with.
that's what it
Yeah.
is. I feel like this this band,
tribe.
any band, a
tribe, man.
a band that wants to be serious, a band that is cohesive. There's no infighting. There's no white lies. There's no I'm gonna say this to him but not to him.
You don't need to.
Let's elaborate on that a bit.
Okay.
The reason there is no infighting and there's no white lies is because when we started the band, one of our biggest things was we will leave our egos at the door.
Yeah.
And we okay.
We're all on the
So
same team.
let's roll into something that is not on the list to talk about, but
That's fine.
something I think is important. If there's anybody that is going to listen to this that wants to start a band, one thing that we did was we got together without instruments, without music.
oh my God, for months.
Yeah,
man.
probably 3 months. We got together and all
Every
we did was
weekend.
talk. It's so important that, listen, maybe in the 70s things were different, and you could be a good guitar player and you could be a good singer and you could get famous on that. But that is not the way the industry works today.
No way.
If you want to
Not even
be
close.
and I might be overstepping my bounds here because I'm talking as if we're successful. If you want to be in a successful band, I'm only saying this because we think we know we have what it takes, so we're trying to get there. But if you want to be in a successful
do the
band,
work.
you got to leave your ego at the door. You're no better than anybody out there.
Hell no, you're usually worse.
Right.
There's always
Always some other fucking
exactly.
Guthrie
Not to
Govan
be like
guy.
negative, but there's always someone better than you at what you think you do really well.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
understanding that is the first
Stop
step
caring
in
about it and start writing good songs.
working together.
So this is what it boils down to.
Absolutely.
You can be the best guitar player, the best drummer, the best singer in the world. Bass players don't matter.
Correct.
But
Unless they're the gear guy.
If
Then
you're
they're
not-
the most important guy.
if you're not willing to put the time in, and the reason I'm speaking up so hard about this is because you realize that the time it takes to put into a band significantly impacts the time you have for the rest of your life. And if you're approaching your 30s, whatever you got going on, if you have a career, if you got kids, if you got a wife, like that shit is impacted. And you have to be willing to recognize the fact that it's going to take work and it's not going to be easy. Like, it's not like you
gonna
just
be
get
fun.
together and you write a couple songs and you go, okay, we got it out there, we're good. It's,
Hell no.
I wish it was that easy. It's not like that. So if there's anyone out there that is listening that is trying to start a band, just know it's not as easy as being good anymore. You have to be willing to put the work in. And you have to be
learn
on the
the
same
business.
page
You have
as
to
your
learn
significant
everything.
other. And there's so much that goes into it.
Oh my God! And if you're married,
So yeah,
your wife has to be almost as invested as you are into it. And
Yeah.
if you have kids, your kids are going to be impacted by it.
But also, if you have a wife that doesn't support it,
It's over.
just
You
dump her. No, just dump her.
It's either the music doesn't matter or the wife doesn't matter,
no, I mean,
You know?
and
and that's going to be your call.
it's not like a starving artist, like we're martyrs for our cause kind of thing.
No,
and
no,
that's,
no.
It is a joke, but it really is. Like, we, as a group of 6 people, what is it, 4 of us, roughly at any given time? 4 of us are like married or in long-term relationships, have kids. Yada yada.
Yeah.
At any
4 of
given
us.
time, 4 of us are married. We never know which
Some
one.
of
Yeah, it
us
might rotate. You don't know.
divorce. Some of us.
You guys could break up. Fuck it, right? It is the most conducive thing in the world. It is the biggest kind of asset to this band that we're all trying to
Our
be.
significant others. Big
We're
time.
trying to be adult men with
Oh
jobs.
my God, dude.
You work your day job. You set time aside for this project to spend time with people that you love. Is like whatever. I mean, like, I love you guys. It's what it is. Like, you spend time with people that you love to make art that you love
That you believe in.
and you believe in, and your wife or girlfriend or whatever it is at least super cool enough to understand that. They don't even have to love it. They don't have to like
We're
the band.
not-
It doesn't matter if they do or don't. We appreciate when they do. They are like, no, it's fine. Like, go spend X amount of time with these dudes farting in a basement and
It's weird.
do what you love because I love you and I want you to do what you love to do.
It doesn't seem like it would be a hard sell when you look at the reality of that situation either, though, because what we are attempting to do and really how we operate, and it's only a matter of time that it will reciprocate into success. But how we're already operating and the choices we've made and like the work we put into what we do, it's an easy sell if you were to try to start a band like this. It means that you have a skill set and a knowledge base that is very, very rare in the human race. Like, there might be a dime a dozen great guitarists out there, but there's not a dime a dozen teams of guys that are able to operate on the same page and do something at a world-class level. Just anything.
Yeah.
That's rare always in every form. If you're talking about painters, if you're talking about like the best Rocket League esports team in the world. Like,
Of course,
that
car
shit,
soccer, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
No,
it's
no, absolutely.
anything that
Absolutely.
where you're trying to do something at a world-class level and you have to have a group of people, a team, to make that happen, and they all have to be on the same page at all times, or it can go off the rails at any time. And to even attempt to pull that off is something very special, and not most people will never know the feelings.
I'd be
involved in
lying
that.
if I said that every time we left a show. So we have our own perils and we struggle through some things. But I would be lying if I said that every time we left a show, I was not 100% sure that we did not have the right fucking team
Oh my god!
to do this shit.
Oh yeah.
Because
Every
we,
time.
and you'll find this in any band walking into any show. Sometimes the shit just doesn't work out, and you end up, you play a good show, but the circumstances aren't great. But if you can walk away and say that the circumstances were what they were, but the group of guys that I have made it work the way that it's supposed to.
Because we're the right
I
guys,
think-
yeah.
Fuck, you're already light years ahead of anybody else in the industry.
I think the big deal with us, and it's none of this is to like, we're not here like toot our own horns. We're trying to.
I am.
Okay,
I'm not.
I'm trying to talk about, at least for me, what I
Horns,
think
dog shit.
is pretty much real life. At least my perception of it is. The nice thing with our band, if you're listening to this, I assume you know who we are. Otherwise, this is a crazy YouTube algorithm. I don't know.
It'd be funny to listen to this.
That would be weird.
Nice
but-
to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A big deal with
You'll
us,
get to
like
know us.
at least I'm speaking for myself here, and these other two can interject. When you take the stage, when you play a show, you do all this stuff, right? You show up, you move all the heavy stuff, you move all the fragile stuff, you set it up, you put it together, you test it out, you make sure it's going to work, you run cables, you plug things in, you talk to the nice guy doing the sound for you. And,
Or not nice.
Yeah, turn your snare drum down.
Or is
It's
a
too
douchebag.
loud.
We'll get into that in a minute. You do the whole thing. You do the script top to bottom. From the second that you show up in your car and you park to the second that you leave that place, there is a script. There's a general, like, I do this here, I do this then, I do this then. I can have a drink here if I want, yada, yada. At least for me, with these guys, I've never, and this isn't a slight to anybody else, but I've never been in a project where I trust the other people on that stage as much as these guys. I don't think about it at all. And we have, we'll get into the tech at some point, but
It's all back to tribe. It's all back to band as a family.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
we proved it to each other.
And I mean, for what it is with these guys is we have all this technology, all this gear, all this crap. You spend money on it, and it gives you the illusion that you can perform better. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Whatever. I can hear everything these guys are doing all night long in my ears. I got the in-ear monitors. I don't think for 1 second when I play a set. It's not even like I think about the other guys. It's almost like you go into this
That's the
like
easy part, dude. It's when we play the songs.
It is the easy part. We're starting to border on some like spiritual stuff that I don't know the connotations of, but the idea of it is like a flow state, So I find for myself when we show up to a venue or a show or what have you, whether it's comfortable or it's not, whether we drove or we didn't, it's local, yada yada. You set up, you get all the stuff ready, you get ready, you load on, the other band's done, you rush to put everything up, your adrenaline is pumping, you're kind of shaking a little bit, and then the second the lights go down and the sound guy goes, "You ready?" and you go, "Yup," and then Dave hits the
I'm
space
ready,
bar
brother.
on the computer.
And that click counts us in. It's
40
on,
minutes
bro.
later-
There's never an issue at that
Everything
point.
goes
There's no
away.
issue,
It's
but that's the
on.
thing.
Dude.
That's the best
and
part.
that's what's simultaneously the best part and the worst part for me. The best
Really?
part is so the best part
I get
is
the best part. I want to hear the worst part.
the best part is we play a show, and that's what this whole thing is kind of about. It's about a sense of community. You get people together
Yeah,
that like
you
what
want-
you're
it's-
doing.
It's giving people your music.
I want to hear the worst part.
The worst
Me too.
part is I don't get to experience it. I don't
get to be in the crowd.
I don't know. All right, Kanye. I don't feel like I get to savor it as a performer, and I don't know. I don't know if this is a phenomena that's exclusive to me though. Like, I want feedback. I don't know if only I feel this way. Maybe I'm in the majority, and it's just the way that it works. But Dave hits the space bar, the click track comes in, and then that's it. I don't think. I just watched
flow state, man.
I just watched a Billy Sheehan interview where he said, "If you think you stink," which is such a corny thing, but he's absolutely right. Like, for that 30 to 60 minutes that we're playing, I'm not thinking. I'm not making choices. It's not that it's like a robot. It's not pre-programmed. It's that you go into this hyper-focused mode where you're just trying to put on the best show you can, whether you're thinking about the part you're playing, whether it's muscle memory and you're thinking about, should I put my foot on that monitor? Or
I'm usually thinking about what I want to eat when the show's over. I'm not kidding.
Should I lean over?
So you can fucking shoot spray it out of your butt the next day.
Yeah. Should I try to interact with this fan? Like, this person seems to be vibing it. Should I lean in and like scream the lyrics at? All that stuff gets made. Those decisions get made in the moment.
Yes.
Okay. So
for me, the worst part is what I'm trying to come to is the worst part of playing a set live is that I feel like it just evaporates.
It just happens.
It was there. And then it's gone, and then we're just trying to unplug everything and tear it off the stage. And that's not a negative. I'm not upset about that. It's just such a strange place to be in because I don't usually alter my...
That's just you being a being of the universe experiencing itself.
Yes.
I mean, it must be. Honestly, like,
Absolutely.
I can get on board with that idea, at least for that, because it's just that you do all this work and you put in this preparation, and then... you don't really get to savor it, but you've done something that you like doing.
To me, that's the oneness that a lot of bands don't get to achieve.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that
all of the great ones probably do.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we're special or that we're unique in any way.
No.
We're just fortunate to have found the people that
we've
can facilitate
been able to
that.
find that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're right. You guys are right. Thank you. That's what my point was. When we get on stage, though, all of that stuff is happening with me, around me, because of me, without me, whatever the situation is.
To me, that's only positive, because if there was anything that went wrong with that would be a negative thing where you're going, well, I got to deal with this on stage. I got to deal with this on stage. Like, this person didn't play the thing right. But the fact that you can say for every single set we play, you can say, we got up on there, and next thing I knew we were done. That means we did it right. That means our shit worked.
I guess that's a good point. Yeah. Because you're not obsessing over whatever the other guy did. Because
that just means that you need to focus and get yourself in there more. And when that happens, you got to be there.
Yeah.
You got to remember that.
And I mean, everybody's a work in progress, and everybody has different feelings about this sort of thing. And
not me, I'm perfect.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure if we did this podcast with the other three guys in the group,
we'd alcoholic.
If we did the same conversation with the other three guys in the group, we'd come up with some different answers and on the spectrum or whatever.
I wish we had all of us here.
But my point, I guess, is that at least for me, and maybe I'm being selfish, I'm a bass player, so it doesn't really matter what I play. When we take that stage, I don't pay attention to a single thing the other guys are doing musically.
You're just flowing, man.
They're in my ears. I can hear every note they play or don't play.
I can speak to that even more, being that AJ and Dave are the rhythm section. I've played in a lot of bands live, and I've played in a lot of genres that were not metal, and to have a rhythm and bass section that I just never have to question is fucking...
It's a pain in the ass. Is what it actually is.
I mean, it's not bad. I just play bass. No, I don't care.
That's fine, and I'm okay with that, because it doesn't really matter.
It's the work it takes.
But even...
It's important.
Any rehearsal we go to, I've never been in a band where I can just play my stuff and not have to worry about what everyone else is doing.
It has to be like that, though. If you're going to have the expectation on all the members that they have to show up prepared and have their shit down, and the ability to play their parts can't be questioned. You just have to have it, right? you can't expect that of everybody else if you're not going to also show up and do that.
That's true.
So then
That's
we
true.
all come with that mindset. So you get the luxury of having the advantage of being able to focus on your own performance because you know everybody else is doing the same thing, and you trust that they're going to bring it.
It's so
You have to.
funny because being in a band is I'm not a sports ball guy, but being in a band's a team sport. But
Correct.
Not that we're like up on the top of a mountain, but the level that we are trying to put ourselves on, and hold ourselves accountable for really is what it is.
The level we hold ourselves to is probably a lot loftier than the reality of us, and I think it should be like that.
I think that's a positive.
It's important that we do that.
And what I'm thinking is like the standard that we all individually, the 6 of us, hold ourselves to, and I can confidently say this for everybody, it may be higher than we can even achieve, but the fact that
maybe.
I'm not listening to Dave waiting for him to mess up. I'm not like, oh man, I hope my drummer doesn't screw up the part so I don't screw up my part. What it really is I hope I play my part as perfect as I can so that everybody else can, and I don't let them down. You're competing with yourself, which is, I would speculate where you want to be. You want to play the best you can play. You want to be the best version of yourself, and bringing it all full circle, it's
regardless of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, it's the relationship that you're in with the other people. They have your trust and you trust them enough that you are trying to not let them down. Not that they'd ever be mad, but I want to play the best I can for you guys, so you don't even have to think about me being on that stage unless I bump into you. That's how I want that to be. And I think all the rest of us kind of are on board with that, which, I mean, I don't know. People can tell us, if you've been to a live show of ours, we hear good feedback all the time. Maybe there's negative feedback. We want to hear that too, but
I'm sure there is.
Most
always the sound guy.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
it's always no.
Most of the time,
negative feedback I don't know, but
yeah, most of the time,
okay.
what we hear directly, what I've heard from friends, fans, whatever that have been at the shows, is that it just seems like we're doing the thing the way that it should be done, which is what I like to hear. It means that
it validates the work.
I know I screwed up the set here, and here. I know I missed this note. I flubbed this. I came into this late. I know that. If the audience doesn't necessarily know that, or if they don't take me to task for that, that means we did a good job.
Here's a really important thing about being in a band as well, is that as you move up the ladder and you figure stuff out, you are seeking out validation from either your peers or the people that are ahead of you, right? So when we play a show with a band that world tours and they tell us that they think we're the real deal and that we are doing things the correct way, that our trajectory is good, right? That means a lot more than when your Aunt Terry says it, because she doesn't know shit about being in a professional band, but a world touring band does. So you're hearing that stuff is extremely validating, right? And that's fine. But that's not like horn tooting. What I'm getting at, the point I'm making is that as you move up the ladder, it's important that you also do that for other bands that are trying to figure shit out. So when we figure out as much as we've been able to figure out as a team together, and we are playing shows with other bands and they come up to us and go, what the fuck was that? And they're like, how did you guys, give us the list of what you're doing that we're not doing so we can start doing that.
And
you give positive feedback and you help them and you give them that info and you don't just hide it and sit on it.
Exactly.
And be a scumbag.
And all right, so here's the soapbox moment of the podcast, if there haven't been 1,000 already. I think, in my opinion, I think that it is a very important thing that we make music tribal. to quote Brad, I'm not even just grasping at straws here. There's a community of people doing what we do, and we do the thing we do because we love it, and they do the thing they do because they love it. So when we get to connect with people on a more personal level and maybe help each other out with just some logistics or some minutia or some bullshit.
Anytime a band comes up and goes, How do you guys build your in-ear rig?
Exactly.
We're going to tell them. We're going to draw them diagrams.
That's what I'm getting at. So I'm going to name drop a few bands, some good friends of ours in 2 bands that you should check out if you like music. Otherwise, you're just listening to a bunch of weirdos rant about shit. High Council out of the kind of southern New Jersey area and Pollock from Buffalo, New York are both super cool bands. And more than that,
bands.
Super cool people. So
yeah, very cool people.
we played with High Council X amount of time ago, within the last 6 months. I don't remember exactly.
I mean, we played with them a few months ago.
That's what it was.
Just a couple months ago.
And we had the pleasure
Love those
to
guys.
stay with their drummer, Greg. And it was a great time. And we got to talk about just 30-year-old guy stuff. It's not about music all the time.
Yeah,
Obviously, as you
it's
can,
always good to get to know.
you
dudes
could tell
that
by
you
this
play shows with.
podcast, it's not about music all the time. But he had brought up a question about the in-ear monitoring stuff. And if you're not a musician, you're going to skip forward like 10 minutes from here or whatever, however long this goes. But we had discussed with him and his bandmates about what it takes to do the thing and how to do the thing and what you got to buy to do the thing. And the beauty of the age that we live in now is if I want to learn how to do anything or I want to see how someone else does something, YouTube exists and I can pretty much figure it out for the most part. I mean, Ryan Bruce Fluff has been a huge
Oh my God, yeah.
a huge part of our in-ear rig, and not even like I'm copycatting him. Like we have different stuff that he does entirely, but it's
you
just
learn
the idea,
fundamentals about how it all works that
Exactly.
you don't have
Just-
access to
just
otherwise.
getting the idea behind it. So we were, I think we were lucky enough to be able to share or kind of teach those guys about some of the stuff that they had questions for. So it's kind of a thing that I don't know if it's a saying or what have you, but if you teach something, you learn it better yourself. At least I
Yes.
don't know if there's a phrase for
I
that. or
would say yes.
how that works, but that
I've done a little bit
idea-
of teaching. I am greatly trying to do a lot more of teaching.
Yes.
Trying to make
Yes.
that like a career. But I have done some teaching, and it's every time you teach anybody anything, even simple,
You
shit,
can learn from them.
It makes you reassess your own technique and your own like way of processing what you're trying to teach them, and you have no choice but to analyze it in a way that you probably never do.
So these shows have been great. The bands have been great. We've spent some time with them, had a good time. And another thing I appreciate is that I guess they appreciate what we do. So we have, they have questions for us, and we're lucky enough to be able to provide them answers.
Yeah.
We're able
I
to
think we have the
say,
responsibility of providing answers.
we're able to say, this is how we do it. This is why we do it. This is how we would recommend that maybe you do it based on our experience. Not that we're
Do's and
experts,
don'ts.
but
Hey, we tried this stuff. It didn't work. This is why it didn't work. Avoid that.
exactly.
Go this way.
And I think that's great for us because it allows us to reassess our situation and learn from that moment with a friend of ours, a good buddy of ours like Luis or Greg or anybody, they say, hey, how do you do this? Or, the best situation is, hey, we need the piece of gear that does the thing. Hey, we're selling our old X so you can buy it for cheaper. Here's our old X. Now you can do what we just did,
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing. And it's not like it's not like a humanitarian effort, like we're doing people favors.
No, it's
As much as it is, we appreciate these people and what they do, and we appreciate that they're doing it the
You're
way they
trying
do
to-
it. So we want to actually show
Yeah,
solidarity. you know?
and when you see a band that has potential and they're not where you're at yet, just fucking help them get there. Like, I don't get it. Like, when you see a band that's doing whatever, and they ask about like whatever, ask about in-ears, or they ask about your tones and how you have them set up so that they sound the way they need to for live or whatever. Like any of that stuff, any questions they have, if you have an answer, you give the answer. And then when you see that band get successful, even if they get more successful than you do, it doesn't fucking matter. You get to have the good feeling of knowing you helped somebody out and it worked for them. And that's it, You don't take ownership or try to identify with their success. Like, oh, I fucking.
Hey, so we bopped the cable a little bit. You might have cut off at the end there, but the whole point is help your fellow musicians, help the fellow bands, help people that you like because they like you and you want to do
If you
good
see
by
people
everybody.
if you see people putting in hard work and they're trying to get to the same goal you are, and you see anything that you've figured out or that you know that they're not doing, just help them get there, because it's only going to elevate them, and then that's going to put pressure on you to be better, and just everybody gets better. And it makes it so you don't end up with local music scenes that are just a bunch of terrible bands.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to be. Every band is already people that tried to get to the stage because they have some desire to try to do something, you know? So, whatever. But if they're shitty people and they're arrogant and they think they have everything figured out and they tell you to go fuck off or whatever, not like you're walking up to them being like, hey, let me help you with your interact. No, bullshit. I don't mean that. Don't force it on anybody. But if anybody is not figuring it out and it's a lost cause, don't waste any energy on it. Don't be negative to them. Like, don't shit on them. Don't go after them. Don't cause any drama, because drama's stupid anyways. Just don't waste any energy on it. Don't think about them. Just keep going on your path, and they'll do their thing, whatever. People, you don't need to waste energy on anything that's going to be a downer, you know. It's like when you put stuff out online and people leave, you know, tons of good comments. It's cool. And then one guy leaves a bad comment or something, and he's just being a prick. But everybody reads that one and they go, fuck, he's right. It's like, what the fuck? 99 other people said he's not, though, so relax. It doesn't mean that he's necessarily not jabbing at something you're aware of or something, but you got to just stay your course and not worry about it. Don't waste your time on that stuff, you know? Now, I feel like that's not easy, but it's a majorly important aspect of the whole experience, the whole human experience thing we were talking about earlier, is you have to, the point of living is to live. Like, it's to focus on where the good energy is and go towards that shit. And don't focus on all the other stuff. And that's tough. I'm sure we all know people that are in our lives that spend a lot of energy focused on negative shit. You know, whether it be some coworker or your cousin's best friend or some shit, or, you know, whoever. Everybody knows a lot of people around them that spend a lot of time and energy on negative shit. And not even necessarily negative shit, but just like scrolling through Facebook all day, and every post they see that's a different opinion, they're pissed and they got to comment and shit. It's like, you could be doing anything productive. It's crazy to me. Like, there's just so much energy wasted on negativity and on bad shit, and it's not necessary at all. I feel like it's important to try to steer other people's courses away from that if you can. And that's part of like the tribal thing we were talking about, is that like that's the responsibility of the tribe to try to do that for everybody, you know? Like, if you see somebody in your tribe that's being a negative Nancy, be like, hold up, let's go play GoldenEye for 64.
Hell
you gotta
yeah.
chill, man.
Hell yeah.
Hold the phones. You're spending too much time on weird shit. Like, stop looking up if fucking Bigfoot's real or whatever.
He
You
is,
gotta
though.
relax.
We all know he
yeah.
is. Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. And I think at this point we can call it a day. We can leave you with that. Dave has to go to bed because the reality is we still have jobs
Obviously,
for now. So thanks for listening. We hope you listen to the next one. We will talk to you soon.
Bye.